Finally, a new season dawns over the horizon, and once again, all virtual festivities have begun, sending us to the famed high banks of Daytona. There's no greater place to begin a season, no greater place to hand out the first win on a new campaign. Who can grab the first dub of Season 4 and who goes home empty-handed? Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Zach Murtis is alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Tonight's coverage from Daytona is brought to you by the Buttkicker, by Ascendance Trucking, by Ideal Lease, by Sundance Pizza, by PFG Foods, and of course by Whiplash Sim Cams. And we cannot forget, of course, Sundance Pizza, the presenting partner of this evening's race, the Sundance 250. These drivers will be dancing at nearly 200 miles per hour, Zach, as practice concludes with Coulter Clark on top. We are ready to go qualifying and send these drivers around in their first proper competition laps, if you will, at this 2.5 mile super speedway, a place that NASCAR begins every season, and hopefully it stays that way for a long time coming. Now, last season they began at Atlanta. The BRB Cup Series did anyways. Began things at Atlanta. This is back to where things belong, Daytona Beach, and this is going to be fun.
Yes, it will. The World Center of Racing is where a lot of series get their years started off. Obviously, you said NASCAR already. IMSA gets their season started here with the Daytona 24 Hours. There's some Supercross events that take place on the front stretch tri-oval. There's so much that goes on at Daytona, and I am so glad to be here for the start of the season. This schedule, though, Andrew, it is stacked. They have kept the same idea that they had from last season with how they were shaking up their playoffs, or their chase, that is, and how they were shaking up their entire season. We're rolling out of Daytona. We're going straight to Texas. So we're going from super speedway to mile and a half to short track to speedway again to road course. They're still keeping that same idea of really keeping them on their toes, and I love to see it.
Yeah, definitely some big-time variety in the opening 6 races there. You've got, as you mentioned, Daytona, the super speedway. Then we go to Texas, the classic version, the 2008 scan. Then you get the short track at Iowa, as you mentioned, the speedway at Michigan. It should be the short course at Austin, which is COTA, Circuit of the Americas. And then the short track of Bristol, that's been moved back one race from race 5 to race number 6. And that will begin a special set of coverage as you and I go down to Charlotte Motor Speedway for Cookout Summer Shootout. We'll have a new coverage team in over the course of the summer, and then you and I will come back at Rockingham for race 12 right before the chase begins at Nashville. So we take a quick look here at the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series Season 4 schedule. We'll talk more about it as the season goes on, of course, but for now, qualifying is hitting the racetrack. Everybody getting their first laps at speed on their own before we go racing this evening. Let's get into the sim, Zach, and take a look at some of these brand new paint schemes. We'll kick off with a fan favorite, Evan Patinko, and we're just going to cycle through a whole bunch of them here. It is, of course, Daytona qualifying. It's really just a luck of the draw, who catches the wind, who keeps their tires cool, all that good stuff. But we have got a lot of paint schemes to look at and get used to. Here's one of them, a nice Blue Angels almost themed number 3 there for Dakota Camper. And we've got a whole lot of new drivers as well, Zach. Braden Van Wingerden, in fact, goes second in qualifying. We've got Matthew Quarterback in the Whiplash. I got to separate those words. He's not a quarterback. Matthew Quarter is back. There we go. In the Whiplash Simcams number 4. Christian Barnes is here in the number 27 for Meatball Motorsports. A lot of new drivers, a lot of returning drivers, and a lot of new numbers in the case of Dakota Bly here in the number 25 now, switching over from the 84. We've had a chance, you and I, to look over some paint schemes through practice. Are there any that piqued your interest?
Definitely, and I'm just a little bit biased to this one. The number 90 of Josh Parent. He's running with the Whiplash Racing Group under the Murtis Esports banner. Love to see it. Gonna make sure I don't get any more biased on me, though. But, like, come on, Andrew. You know I love yellow and black. You know I got to represent the colors.
Gavin Rogers in a new number, back to the number 17 where he was in the past, goes fastest so far in qualifying. And look at that, Sam Dyer upsets the number 17. There is the number 35 flying around the high banks here at Daytona. Stephen Borbell second. And look at that, Zach. Josh Parent will jump to the top of the board. The Pit Stop TV Murtis Esports number 90 Ford Mustang will go up top, and that time could stand the test. That's a 50.182. Let's see how it stands.
Yeah, look at Brandvold. He just got really, really close, within a tenth of a second just about. There's another one, number 21 of Carden. He is rolling around in that number 21 machine. Pit Stop TV, lots of great stuff on those cars. There's a lot of Pit Stop TV on these cars, Andrew, but we love to see it here on the show.
Also got the Norfolk Southern number 62. You see the Maddox Graphics logos there on the C pillar. Dan Stoccaro, and a lot of names to get used to, a lot of brand new names for us. A good handful here. 3 more yet to qualify, yet to turn a lap time. Don Stoccaro is one of them. We also have Jason Bottom starting his first lap. He will go 34th quick so far. And Robert Moyer Jr. comes across the line in the 37th spot. Now, he's 37th, Zach. He's within 0.2 of pole. In fact, all the way down, the first driver more than 0.2 off of pole right now is Cameron Carden, and he's coming around to complete lap number 2. Let's see where he jumps up to. It's going to be much better than 39th, 32nd. So a big jump up there. Cody Dorsey now looking for something better.
That's so close between all the drivers. Is Dorsey going to make it back to the flag, though?
No.
3, 2, 1. The ticker's going to click down. Dorsey's not going to get it, and it's going to be Josh Parent holding on to that time.
Wow. Whiplash Racing bringing the fast Fords to Daytona International Speedway. That's pretty darn cool. We'll go over the full Lucky Performance starting grid here in just one moment, as Josh Parent will lead the field to the green. We do want to take a quick look, and we're going to look at this twice. We're going to look at it now and revisit it right before green, the Whiplash SimCam's race details. We've got that long pace lap here. We should be able to hit it in, but this is a 100-lap race, 250 miles. The stages at 25, 50, and 100, of course, at the end of the race. 5 change sets in the pit lane, 80% fuel load, thick setup, 3 green white checkers, no fast fix. It's the same race formula as we've gotten so used to here with the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. No big changes. We're just going on into a brand new season of racing. Let's get down to the Lucky Performance starting grid. On pole, Joshua Parent in his first start back with this series. He will lead the field to the green. That is literally about the best way he can kick this season off. The only way better, Zach, would be to put the number 90 in victory lane. We'll see if he can do it from pole this evening. Starting second, you'll find Zachary Brandvold at a new team, Spirit Racing, making their return to the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Starting from third spot, Sam Dyer. Scott Fritz will roll off from fourth. Starting fifth, it'll be Stephen Borbell. Kyle Heath, the newcomer, will start from sixth. Gavin Rogers, Season 1 champion, will start from 7th. Josh Anderson will start from 8th with the new team. Braxton Skinner and newcomer Dylan Yeager will start from 10th.
Rolling outside of the top 10, you'll find Cameron Gilmore in the 11th spot and Matthew Corder in the 12th spot in that Whiplash SimCam's number 4. 13th and 14th, you'll find Brennan Maddox and Dustin Stallings, 2 drivers returning and looking for some added progression from last season. Those 2 definitely picked up towards the later end of the season. Going into now, they're looking for more, but 15th and 16th on the grid, right behind those 2. You will find Dakota Camper and Andrew Rattle. They are starting 15th and 16th on the grid. Should be a fun race for them. Hopefully they'll be able to pick up some more spots. Mid-pack is where you don't want to be at these super speedways, Andrew. Zachary King will be starting 17th. He's been a regular face here on the Pit Stop TV broadcast, and hopefully we'll see it more. And right next to him, though, is going to be Evan Patinko, and then 19th and 20th, you'll find Nicholas Renner and Christian Barnes.
Starting 21st, Braden Wingerden. Gonna have to get used to that name. It's tongue twister for sure. Eric Jensen there in 22nd. Starting 23rd, newcomer Ronnie Osmer. Adam Buzzio will start from 24th. Coulter Clark from 25th. Jared Hughes there from 26th. These guys drive through the drone camera on pit lane. Oh man, gonna have to replace the drone after this one. Matthew Selby from 27th. Richard Wolfsburg from 28th. Back into the back end of the top 30, Zachary Maddox and Jamie Quarry.
Just outside of the top 30, you'll find Isaiah Sutherland and Carl Pooler. They were a couple of drivers that wanted to stay a little bit further down the running order tonight. And then 33rd on the starting grid, 33rd and 34th, that is, excuse me. You'll find Cameron Carden and Patrick Hernandez. 35th and 36th, though, you'll find Derek Dryman and Jason Bottoms. And then rolling down a little bit further in the running order, you'll find Dakota Bly and Gray Walker, 37th, 38th, and 39th and 40th. You'll find Robert Moyer and Johnny Wood. We've got a big field tonight, Andrew.
2 cars remain on the grid, Cody Dorsey and Dan Stoccaro. 42 cars ready to go racing in the season opener for the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. That off-season went by quick. We're already back to it, Zach. Here we go. Daytona High Banks ready to get loud here again. 100 laps, 250 miles, a half-length Daytona 500, if you will. Stages at 25 and 50, 5 chain sets. Really no worries about tires, but here we go. Coming around to the Geico restart zone to get this season underway. We'll turn the music down and turn the engines up. Here we go. We are racing in the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series once again. Down the Daytona super stretch we go. A couple are dropping out of line. Nick Renner, one of them, along with Braden Wintergarten. Some drivers moving down low on the racetrack, and one driver started from pit lane. That was Sam Dyer. But up front, Josh Parent and Zach Branvold going at it for the race lead, side by side through turns number 3 and 4. And here we go, Zach. Who's going to lead lap 1?
Oh, it's going to be a who's who of who's getting back to the start-finish line first. Branfold drops down to the bottom, and he's going to take over full control of lap number 1, leading the way here. Scott Fritz is still trying to hold on to that second spot, but now Joshua Parent has someone in front to pull him along and help with that fuel-saving number that he's going to need to hit. And we've already got one driver out of the race. Adam Buzzio has already taken that car behind the wall, and he is done for the night.
Unbelievable. These drivers no longer have that fast repair of seasons prior. He is, it sounds like, done. We'll let this lap go complete and see if maybe we can find what happened to him. But up front, Branvold, Parent, Fritz, Heath, Borbell, Rogers, Anderson, Skinner, Yeager, and Gilmore, your top 10. And here we go to complete lap number 2. It was Branvold on lap 1. Can Fritz get there? No. Branvold will lead lap 2.
Staying consistently out in front in that paint scheme that I think is very similar to the William P. Sport car with the Duracell and whatnot. But nice to see how these drivers are starting to settle in. There is Adam Buzzio, and he is beached on the pit lane.
Did he even take the grid?
I don't know. Something happened as they were exiting the pit lane.
Say as they were exiting the pit lane?
Something happened there. I heard it over driver communication that someone was wrecking on the front straightaway. I'm not sure what happened.
Well, let's back this up one more time here and take a look at what just happened to the 5 car. Here he goes rolling on the pit lane and then just disappears. And now we're on to lap 4. So enough of the replay. Adam Buzzio with early season troubles, but Scott Fritz will now lead here at Daytona International Speedway. He's out ahead of Kyle Heath, Zach Branvold, and Josh Anderson, their top 4. And already, Zach, you see from that camera angle, that's perfect already. 2 even 3 very distinct packs here on lap number 4 of 100. These guys are splitting up very early, spreading out across this 2.5-mile super speedway. And I'd say packs 1 and 2 just came back together, so pack 3 back there is hanging out a little bit further back.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that were hanging up on the top line just decided to come down to the bottom of the racetrack and fall in line, and that brought that second pack right back up to these guys. So everyone's kind of starting to settle into their run, get single file, and figure out what they want to do with their fuel numbers, and we're seeing Quarter leading that top line charge now as Anderson drops down to the bottom, brings Yeager with him. So they are now leading that bottom line charge. You can see on board with Quarter here as he leads the top line. 3 cars out in front on that bottom line. Fritz being the first one you saw right there. Look at that shove that Josh Parent just gave to the back bumper of Branvold. That was one heck of a push going into 3.
Dustin Stallings, new number for him, moving over to the double lot as opposed to the single lot. From the 0 to the 00, he was pushing Quarter there for a moment in the Whiplash SimCams number 4. Out front, it's the Nationwide 07 of Josh Anderson, a new team for him. He moves over to Southern Excitement Racing, and he's got Dylan Yeager pushing him. Yeager and Fritz are teammates in 2nd and 3rd. Kyle Heath, a brand new driver here to the series as well, He runs in fourth. I believe he is now over there at Racers for Christ. There's so many new teams and movements and everything. I'm going to double check my list quickly. And yes, the 13, Racers for Christ there for Kyle Heath. He's got no teammates around him right now, but would love to get some up there soon.
Yeah, and one thing that I just thought about, Andrew, you talked about paint schemes in the early running. You've got Anderson out front. He's running what is similar to a Gray Ghost paint scheme. We remembered seeing Dale Jr. run that a couple of times in the Cup Series. Kyle Heath, he's running Darrell Waltrip-esque style paint scheme. Isaiah Sutherland, he's still running his Jeff Gordon throwback paint scheme, the Rainbow Warrior. There's a lot of guys that have some NASCAR-inspired paint schemes. You know, one of the Whiplash racing drivers, Nicholas Renner, he's running a Joey Logano-inspired paint scheme. It's nice to see how these guys are really embracing the NASCAR style and just kind of letting things play out for how they want to express themselves a little bit more, express their favorite drivers, or express their, you know, intent with NASCAR right now. It's fun to see.
I mentioned at the start of the race, one driver did start from pit lane. That was Sam Dyer. He is still on the racetrack, but on his own here, 41st position, some 27 seconds back of the race leaders. Not ideal for Sam, but I think there was a point to him starting from the pit lane. Did not want to get caught up in any early crashes. The problem, Zach, is if this stage goes green, he's likely to be the only car a lap down. Now, of course, he can get that lucky dog and get that lap back, but I just wouldn't want to be in that position from the get-go, as that was close between Christian Barnes, and who is that pushing him? Oh, my. He got way squirrely there out of turn number 2. These guys are dancing around big time in the back of this first pack.
It's like driving around really behind a semi-truck at Daytona and Talladega. You're getting the air wash off the car in front of you, and it's causing you to not be able to hold that steady wheel. And sometimes with how the air reacts, coming off corner exit, sometimes it just wants to snap the car around. So you just got to be mindful of that. You just got to be easy with your pushes. Don't be laying into the throttle. A good thing to remember is don't go into the corner, and as you're coming off, doing the banking transition, just don't let off the throttle, because that's going to be one thing that snaps your car loose. But on board here with Christian Barnes in that number 27. He's rolling the bottom right now. You can see some of the Whiplash racing drivers up on the top. You can see the few drivers that he's got in front of him. There's the stacking. That's a lot of things you're going to see. And Andrew, get your whatever you fancy, just get it out, because the drinking game has started. Don't push the pusher, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, there it is.
Don't do it. You can't do it. You just can't. And I'm going to say it a lot. It creates a huge stack up, and it does not help, especially the big thing is it can upset the car who is pushing. So if you are the pusher pushing the pusher, you can upset that pusher, and therefore that pusher is going to be pushed into the grass.
Once again, 3 packs here at Daytona here early. Only 9 laps in, working lap number 10. We're going to focus mostly on this lead group. It's just so hard to bounce between 3 packs, but we will kind of show you who's where right now. So Anderson, Yeager, Brandvold, and Selby are your top 4 right now out in front of this lead pack. If you drop back a little bit, here to pack number 2, if I can find them. And there's a long line of single file cars, but then you get to Johnny Wood Jr., Andrew Rattel, Gray Walker, Dakota Camper, Ronnie Osmer, and some others here in group number 2. They're a little ways back with the blinking number 1 of Braden Van Wingerden. Then, deep in this field, you'll find Robert Moyer leading the 3rd pack of cars with Dakota Bly, Cody Dorsey, Jamie Port, and Dan Stoccaro. That's a 5 or so group of cars. They are chasing down Isaiah Sutherland, who has got that Rainbow Warriors Sutherland used car as number 24. High, wide, well, not high, wide, and handsome. He was kind of going up the racetrack for a moment, but he's, of course, going to stay down to the draft. And, you know, we've seen in other restrictor plate or drafting style races like this, Zach, sometimes in NASCAR, especially in the past, they've got up top on the wall. They have rim rided around this racetrack, single file lane at the wall. That's kind of gone, moving to this new era of NASCAR stock cars. That was in the Gen 6. This Gen 7, for the most part, keeps these guys packed up. In the real world as well, you'll see them save fuel, get 3 wide, lockstep formation, and just save gas as best as they can. Here in iRacing, you don't see that racing quite as much. It's kind of like a mix of the two, where they're a little bit strung out, but they do stay packed up front.
Yeah, as long as they don't get 4 wide. It's lap 12. We don't need 4 wide racing right now that we see in the NASCAR Cup Series. It can get dicey when these guys get 4 wide. Not dishing on their talent in any way, it's just Daytona compared to Talladega is a narrower racetrack. Not a lot of people realize that it is a little bit more narrow on these straightaways, a little bit more narrow in the corners. They can't get easily as 4 wide as they would at a track like Talladega. Not to mention Daytona's not as banked as Talladega. It's like Talladega is like Daytona on steroids, but we're not talking about Talladega anymore. We're talking about Daytona, and a shakeup on the bottom. I don't know if you saw it there, Andrew. That allowed the top 3 up on the top to fall in line. So Fritz, Selby, and Parent all just jumped in front of Anderson. And look at Josh Parent. He's going back to the top. He's going up with his teammates.
Going to bring Matthew Corder along with, but Scott Fritz will block that run. He now moves to the middle of the racetrack. You got to commit one way or the other, and Parent gives him a shot and moves him back down. Fritz back down with Selby now in the 46 car. They will link up, so teammates down low, teammates up top, and the run to the top side gets them going. Josh Parent will lead lap number 13 here to the stripe.
And I know, Andrew, that you wanted to bring in some good drivers for Whiplash Racing. I know you wanted to see some of the best coming in here and building this team up. Because I know you brought this team in last season during Season 3. You didn't have as much drivers coming in that you wanted to, contend for driver points, contend for owner points. But now, and I'm going to throw you to the floor a little bit, not throw you to the floor, but throw you into the mix a little bit here. And you have brought in a substantial field of drivers for this.
Josh Parent, Matthew Corder, they lead, of course. Corder had been around for a while. Josh Parent ran a little bit in season number 2. Cameron Carden's a real newcomer. He's a complete rookie to this series. He's running back deeper in the field right now, looking for the 21. He is back at the back end of this group. He is running 33rd spot, but that's okay. It's early yet. And then, of course, Nicholas Renner, a longtime driver here in the BRB Cup Series. But I got to say, this is interesting how things are turning out. I just talked about the field in past generations of the car lining up on the top side of the racetrack and how that doesn't really happen in this next-gen car. Well, we're seeing it right now. The top side is potent currently, and now Braxton Skinner's going to change things up. He goes down low. But the top side got 3 cars out ahead, including Braxton Skinner. That's why he just dropped down there. He now goes down in front of Dustin Stallings. The top side still has numbers right now. Patrick Hernandez gets in line. Zachary King is there, it looks like, and who is that right behind him? Christian Barnes, even Zachary's teammate, as Hernandez will drop down low.
Yeah, you see Hernandez dropping down with Skinner, and look, going to the bottom, that's Zach King making a move down there as well. And talking about drivers and whatnot, Andrew, speaking on who we see at the front right now, Zach King, Patrick Hernandez, Braxton Skinner, these are a lot of guys that have showed speed. Zach King won the opening race last season, Andrew, and looking at Hernandez too, just thinking about what's going on up here at the front, when we talk about teammates, you've got Parent and Corder up there. They're teammates right now. Zach King, I believe he does not have any teammates around him at the moment.
Barnes.
Christian Barnes, thank you. But, you've got Patrick Hernandez. Hernandez is his only teammate. He's a single car operation. He's unsponsored at the moment as well. He has to go with who he can. And more than likely, he'd try to stick with Toyotas to see who he can hang around with. But in reality, he doesn't have any help. He doesn't have anyone to give him that kind of push late in the race, someone who's going to be there for him when he wants to go through pit stops. He has to go with who he thinks the main pack is going to be and who he's going to be able to have the most help with.
Yeah, flying solo is definitely a challenge in these sorts of races when you have teammates like this. And now you see Barnes drop down low, an aggressive move here to get a run at the race lead. He's going to bring Zach King along with him. Teammates now down to the bottom side of the racetrack, Barnes and King. They will lead the bottom. So again, teammates up top, teammates down low. And look who has joined the fight, Nick Renner. We could have 3 Whiplash cars out front if he gets around Zach Brandvold. No other teams right now are really prioritizing the front of the field. We're going to see them, it looks like, drop back and try to surge back forward later in this race. Just observing who's out front. Whiplash Racing and Meatball Motorsports currently lead the race.
Hey, don't forget, though, Andrew, Accelerate Racing is up there. Remember, Brandvold and Skinner are both teammates. They're inside the top 10 right now.
Brandvold is over at Spirit Racing.
Really?
Yeah, he switched over. That's Mason Hausman's team making a comeback. So he's a teammate to Christian Gilmore and to Braden Wingerden. They are teammates over at Spirit Racing this season, as Mason Hausman is now a part-timer. He'll be going away this summer and will not be racing the full season. He's not here tonight even, which is not normal for us with the BRB Racing League. This is the first time that he's got to watch from the sidelines like this, but he'll run some races before he goes away for the summer. Regardless, he's got a team in this series at a Spirit Racing, and that will include Zachary Brandvold in that 55. Right there, lap 18 complete. We race on to lap number 19. Christian Barnes now is the race lead. Josh Parent wants it back. They will stay side by side through the corner. Barnes gets the advantage down low through the corner, but on corner exit, watch that 90 get a run here down the Daytona super stretch and go back ahead, possibly, of that 27 car. And Mason chimes in from the YouTube chat saying he's the pace car this season. Well, so far, I gotta say, I'm impressed by this field. We're nearly 20 laps in, no cautions.
You better knock on wood, because they're 3 wide right behind them in the back of this first pack over here. Hopefully they'll get that sorted out soon. Riding on the back bumper of Barnes as he leads them on to lap number 20. We are officially 19% of the way completed in this race and into the next 20%. But it's Barnes, King, Hernandez, Skinner, Parent, Brandvold moving around with quarterback there. Renner, Buttkicker just stalling, rounding out the top 10. That's obviously going to shake around as we've got that pack up on the high line, Andrew. And as they roll down the back straightaway, I love these camera shots. I love these here at Daytona, and I love this camera shot right here, this drone-esque cam that really gives you a sense of the speed, a sense of how these guys are really working into this racetrack. And Joshua Parent now all by himself, at least in terms of someone pulling him up in front now, trying to get back to this race lead. Seeing a lot of guys up here right now starting to prioritize stage. That's the thing we need to start talking about as we get closer and closer to this first stage ending. Stage points are going to be such a big thing, and they're so hard to get, so difficult to get here at Daytona, and otherly as well as Talladega.
Yeah, I've talked about it a bunch in the past. The way you make points in this series, and any series like this that runs stages, is the stages. Stage points. You've got to maximize them. You've got to prioritize them. Fuel is good to go. I'm surprised at how single file this field is right now as we see one car go 3 wide. That is going to be Matthew Selby to the inside of Carl Pooler. He will make it 3 wide there alongside Dustin Stallings down low. But I'm surprised at how single file this field truly is currently, as one car gets sideways. That was Brandvold. Another car squeezes into the fence. That was the Limitless car of Johnny Wood Jr. And Limitless has shown up. Look at this. Richard Wolsifer, Carl Pooler, and Johnny Wood Jr. all in a row right behind those Whiplash Racing leaders. They even brought Dylan Yeager to the party as well. So we're starting to see the teams now rise to the front and try and control this race and control stage 1.
The only difficult thing is right now, Andrew, is that when that car up there hit the wall, you said it was Brandvold, right, that smacked the wall there on the top line?
No, Brandvold got loose on the inside. I think it was Johnny Wood that got the wall.
There we go. Well, the main the main thing I'm trying to get at here is that broke up that top line, and now Corder has to push Parent a little bit harder to get back up there.
Oh, no! Josh Parent, hang on. Matthew Corder in the wall, and there goes Josh Parent around. Caution is out. That will end stage 1. Joshua Parent turned around. Coulter Clark is in it. I see Brendan Maddox down low. Maybe not the big one, but close to it.
Well, looks like Race Control is going to call that stage, so we'll have to figure out where that's going to put everybody looking through the field. Doesn't look like anybody has any meatball flags. Look like a black flag for Renner, but I'm sure Race Control will clear that. Probably had to duck down into the pit lane to avoid the wreck, but that would promote Christian Barnes to your stage winner here, Andrew. That is going to be one tricky incident for Race Control to look at.
Very first start for Christian Barnes in the BRB Racing League, and very first stage win for car number 27. He will grab himself 10 stage points and 1 chase point as well, I believe. I believe they get chase points for winning stages, but we'll find out, I'm sure, as they'll come around and take their pit stops. But let's take a look back. And I was wincing as this all set up, as it started to happen. I'm going to go a little further back, I guess. So we'll do that replay one more time. But I was wincing as this was starting to happen. And I'll replay there late again. I was wincing. We'll say it a third time. I was wincing as it was starting to happen. I saw the 4 get offset from the 90. Watch Corder and Parent here. And Parent just kind of slips up the racetrack. Corder got offset and down to the inside, and I knew that wasn't going to go well. Wolsifer pushed Corder into Parent. Parent just got turned around. I mean, that's just as simple as you could say it.
I'm going to say it. You can say it if you want to, but I'm going to say it.
Got to tell our own drivers not to push the pusher.
Don't push the pusher, ladies and gentlemen. You can see just how stacked up it gets when things like that happen, especially in the corners. Pushing in the corners is one of the trickiest things to not do here at Daytona. So keep an eye on the third car in line. That's what we're looking at here.
I would say, truthfully, I'll pin this on the 4 for getting the 90 in the left rear quarter panel, because if he was squared up, I don't think that would have turned Josh around. But regardless, you see the melee that ensues, and Braxton Skinner took a big hit to the inside wall. Saw Nick Renner head down to the pit lane, trying to miss it. This is a messy incident to get this race started. This is another look at it. You see it start there in turn 3 and just continue on through the 4th corner. There goes the 90 to the wall hard. That's going to take a while to fix. Carl Pooler loses his back bumper. Skinner takes a header to the wall, as well as one of the Maddoxes. I think that was Brendan Maddox, as they were both involved there, both Whataburger cars. And let's not forget, well, just so many others. So many cars involved here. That did not need to happen this early.
And the stack up is really what set that into chaos, we'll say, because when quarter hit parent, that stacked up behind, just had everybody running over each other.
And I think Corner realized he got into the left rear of Josh and tried to lift, and that's when Richard got him.
Yeah. Then Wolfsburg, you can see them all taken to the wall, and I want to say this, and it's going to sound really cheesy to say, but a lot of these guys are lucky that they didn't get any worse for wear. Like, I'm sure Josh is going to be a little bit lucky that he made it out of that how he did. I'm sure Quarter's lucky that he's out of that without even really getting much of a scratch on that. The Limitless guys are probably going to be a little bit more banged up, but they should be okay too. Right on board here with Coulter Clark. He got a little bit of a lick of it, but he should be relatively okay as well. Nobody is going to need a fast repair. I know they don't have one, but nobody's going to need one more than likely.
See what happens here from Coulter Clark's perspective. You see Brennan Maddox and his new number 23 go racing into it. Coulter a little bit late to the brakes. He got collected there by Dylan Yeager and ends up spinning around a little bit. You know what? For racing into the crash, he got lucky.
Is it enough to nominate him for lucky performance, lucky break of the day?
I don't know. Can you nominate him when it's kind of self-inflicted? I don't know, because he could have lifted a little bit earlier and maybe not been in it. But hey, it is what it is. You're trying to get through the crash, and the blinders go on. But let's bring in our Stage 1 winner, Christian Barnes, who will officially take stage number 1 here. Car number 27, brand new to us, Christian. It takes stage 1, and looks like we lost you from the session.
Yeah, it kicked me for a second. I'm joining back. I don't know if I'm a lap down or 2 right now. Hopefully I get in before going at least 2 down. I can handle 1, just not 2.
Well, hopefully you get back in the race and get back to where you need to be, but how was that first stage out there?
Oh, it worked out perfectly. Me and Zach, we worked together perfectly, made the right moves, and we got to the front. And once we got there, we just weren't looking back.
I hate to break the news to you that you're out of the session and all that, and probably going a lap down here, but best of luck the rest of the race. We'll be watching out for car 27.
Thank you very much.
Christian Barnes just getting back into the sim here. I see him loading in a pit lane. We'll move him back up with Zach King. Really unfortunate stuff there, Zach. We are having all kinds of technical difficulties. Adam Buzzio said his PC had a problem. Christian Barnes now dropping out of the session after winning the first stage. Man, we are having some problems here this evening at Daytona, but here comes the field. Ready to go back racing. Let's watch the beginning here of stage number 2 from the fan cam that we love so much here at Pit Stop TV. This is a great shot right down against the inside wall. Lap 25 complete, 25 laps to go here in stage 2. We are back green into Sundance Pizza 250. A very spread out start to stage number 2, but Zachary King leads. He's got Johnny Wood Jr. and Scott Fritz right behind. King at the racetrack to maybe block the 48 car, thinks better of it. I think that was wise not to go up and block Fritz too much because, again, Zach, it's so early, we don't need to have that kind of stuff be happening yet.
No, we do not. And we saw Johnny Wood Jr. quickly slot in line off the restart. I was very tempted for a moment to call him Mason Houseman. I don't know why. We miss you, Mason. We love you, buddy. But We saw Johnny slot in line, and Fritz was by himself up there, still hanging with the leaders for the most part. But now, you see Fritz getting that run, getting that push from Evan Patinko.
Patinko, a fan favorite here, already has some fans cheering him on in the YouTube chat. Good to see that. He's going to give a shove here. Down low Patinko, but he's up top right now, pushing the 48 to the race lead. Scott Fritz will take over here on lap 27. Maybe, maybe not.
Oh,
they got split up and got out of sync there.
I winced there myself, Andrew. I thought we were in for another incident there, but thankfully they get it all sorted out. They had to check up a little bit, but everything is a-okay. But Fritz lost a lot of ground. You can see just how much getting broken apart can really affect how these guys are running. And that top line lost its momentum, so they lost a little bit of ground. So Johnny Wood Jr., Patrick Hernandez, they're able to get their cars clear of that top line. And if they want to make that now available to them, and we can see just how much that front pack is moving around as the second pack is single file, and we've got a bit of a third pack running back there.
And dropping out of the lead pack is going to be Isaiah Sutherland. He went from the top to the bottom, from the attic to the basement very quickly. And drops to the back end of group number 1 here with Dylan Yeager and some others. He's even got Robert Moyer right behind him, so he will slot in line there in the 20th position as Gavin Rogers moves around. And Gavin Rogers is a fun story here. Of course, he's affiliated there with Sundance Pizza. I believe that's his family that owns that company in Wickenburg, I believe it's Wickenburg, Arizona. Is a member of the Next Level Motorsports camp, but doesn't race all that often. We'll see how many races he opts to take part in this season, in season number 4. He's got that season 1 championship under his belt. We know he's capable. It's interesting to me that turns up these plate races, these speedway races, Zach, because this is the one place where his expertise isn't really shown.
You know what? You're right.
He's so good on ovals, so good on road courses. He won at California back in season 2, won at Austria back in season 3, and decides to show up here to Daytona. Not really sure why, other than to have some fun. And you know what? I can't blame him. It's just interesting because this is the one style of racing where he doesn't get to shine quite as much. So if you're going to run that part-time schedule, it's just interesting to me. But regardless, he's sitting pretty right now in the 15th spot. Right behind Cody Dorsey and his new number, the number 9.
I was a bit of few words there, and you had to make me think about Gavin Rogers for a moment and really where he's good. And, you know, you brought it up. You think back to the Red Bull Ring when he came out and won over Mason Houseman, and when he won California back a few seasons ago. That was actually a really nice race to be a part of. It was very good to watch as these guys are getting dicey. Ooh, there is some contact right there between King and I believe that was Jensen right there in the 88. That was very, very close between those two back there. Could have ended very poorly. But Scott Fritz now back solely in front of this race. Selby right behind him. Zach King directly behind Selby. I'm starting. Ooh, okay. Now we're getting all over the place. Oh, in the grass.
One car into the grass. It's going to be Johnny Wood Jr. way down low. And he's going to just get back up onto the racetrack here. Let's go back and see what happened on the backstretch.
It's just a shakeup back there. Everybody was all over the place.
All right, so turns 1 and 2. Everything looks okay, but watch the number 75. Bottom lane, kind of a digital camo thing going on. He's 4th car in line, as you say. The blue number's in the door. He's got Patrick Hernandez right behind him. Hernandez kind of shoves him up into Zachary King, who had to get out of the gas because Fritz and Selby got out of sync and got out of touch there. And let's watch this one more time and diagnose what happened between the 46 and 48. So King is shoving the daylights out of the 46, gets him squirrely, and right there, Zach, you've said it how many times already? Don't push the pusher. And Zach King was shoving the 46 up to the 48. You've got to be out of the gas there.
Well, for those taking part in the game, that's 2 shots now. And that shot didn't really work out well for Johnny Wood Jr., I'll say, because he got one big shot to the rear. And that's what sent him into the grass. There you see how the lines have broken up, though. Jamie Poor now up into the top 5. That's the first time we've seen him up there all race long. But they're broken up down on the bottom, Andrew. And ever living, pushing the daylights out of Scott Fritz, is Matthew Selby once again. And they are trying to get clear of that bottom line. Look at that up top, though. Still Stephen Borbell.
Whoa! Fritz is going around.
Fritz.
There goes the 48. It's going to be a big crash out front of the field. Wolsifer, Clark, Stallings, and Dissack. This is the big one.
Look at Renner trying to make it through. He gets a little bit of a piece of it as well. Everyone just coming to a halting stop at the end of it. And it looks like, Andrew, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Richard Wolsifer's luck from last season seems to be carrying over into this season. That's 2 wrecks he's been a part of now.
This one we saw coming from a mile away. 2 laps ago, was it? We saw the 46 and 48 get out of line, get out of sync. And again here, Selby just got on the right rear of his teammate, and it's just a mistake you can't have at the front of the field this early in this race. Boy, this sweeps up a lot of good race cars. Wolsifer and Wingarden. That was the 21 of Carden, by the way, that shot into that. Oh my gosh.
Saw Sutherland spinning through the grass right there as well, and I can tell you for certain that Buttkicker, Gray Walker, Adam Buzzio, who has made his way back into the session some way, shape, or form, and Braden Van Wingarden, excuse me.
I think it's
they
Wingarden.
all have
it's weird.
Wingarden. It's such a weird pronunciation, but my last name's German and people mispronounce it all the time. They all have pit repair flags is what I was trying to get at. So more than likely their race is all but done. They can try to get their cars fixed for the most part, but there's not much that can be done on those race cars.
And you know what? I call out a lot of drivers for a lot of things. And I'll have to call out one of my own here. Cameron Carden got a lift, man. This is deep into this crash that he ends up flying in here. He's in the 3rd pack and ends up part of this crash. Ends up part of this crash here on lap 33 or so. Let's watch this from the KC Athletics onboard. Out of Dublin, Virginia. Crash is going to happen right about now. Scott Fritz gets turned around, and Buttkicker as well. And Cameron just a little bit late to get in the brakes here. Right on the apron, slides in, gets the 18 car. I think that was Gray Walker, right?
Yes, 18 would be Gray Walker.
That could be why Gray has that meatball flag. I hate that. I really do not like to see that. But let's see this from Isaiah Sutherland's point of view. He was also kind of in a secondary pack here. While Carden was in the tertiary pack. While Carden was in the tertiary pack, the 3rd pack, Sutherland here was in the 2nd pack of just 4 cars and ends up in it as well.
That's how you say that? That's what the 3rd one is?
Tertiary, yeah.
I never knew that.
You know where I learned that?
No, I don't.
NASCAR, the game inside line. Because they had primary, secondary, and tertiary paint scheme. And you know what? Isaiah just whipped the car around, whipped for a spin. He's okay.
Yeah. Could we call that a nomination for Lucky Performance, Lucky Race? Oh, there it is. Thank you. You and I were thinking the same thing there.
Be faced with being a part of a crash or just going for a quick spin, I'll give it to him.
I will definitely take loopies all day long. You know what, Andrew? Rolling through the rest of this, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a page out of your book that we had just a couple of days ago on the Speedway 500 broadcast for the Major Series. When we come to tracks like Daytona, it is difficult to manage how this race can be run because you're always in the thick of it. That's one of the things that people love about racing, stock car racing that is, things like the Cars Tour, things like the NASCAR Cup Series. It's just having that close corners racing. And that's what you get all the time here at Daytona and Talladega. It's one of the big things about pack racing that is so different. That you just have to always be ready for certain things to transpire. And, you know, for someone like Isaiah Sutherland who said, I'd rather just do a little loop rather than get involved.
Possible problems for Josh Anderson. It seems like he is out of the race. Zach, this is where you can help out a little bit. Has he lost connection to the session, or is he just out of the car?
He is out of the car. I can tell you another driver that's out of the car as well, M. Patinko.
Yep.
He is out of the car.
He's already 2 laps down. He could not drive the car back, and it seems like Braden Van Wingerden was in the same position, same shoes there, and Van Wingerden, it seems, will be out of this race early in that number 1. from Spirit Racing. Patinko, Anderson, they will join Buzzio, Walker as well out of this race here. And Christian Barnes, to recap that situation, he is back in this race, albeit 1 lap down. He is the first car now 1 lap down and should be in line. If we get another caution, he's able to miss it. Should be in line to get that lap back.
Well, the stage should be coming to a close here in about 15 or so laps.
Really, all he's got to do is ride around and just not lose the draft.
That is correct. And I can confirm, right before we take the green flag back here, that the 48 of Scott Fritz and the 46 of Matthew Selby were warned by race control. Adam Buzzio has actually stepped up into the race control booth with Rev up there. They're working on keeping things clean, and they have also formally warned the 21 of Cameron Carden for dubbed ARCA braking, and he has been formally warned for the rest of the race.
Here we go, back to the Geico restart zone to kick this race right back off. A little past third way through this race. Camper onto the apron, but he gets back on the racetrack, and here we go. Eric Jensen going to lead us back to the green, and that number 88. For about 10 years, anytime the number 88 was out front at Daytona or Talladega, every seat in the stands would be empty. Number 88, piloted this evening and this season by Eric Jensen, takes over here at Daytona International Speedway. Might not have exactly the same effect, but I know there's some fans out in the YouTube chat that are happy to see that, as Dylan Yeager has a run on the outside.
Lots of shaking up going on throughout the pack, Andrew, and for good reason. These guys are worried about stage points now as we get closer to the end of the stage. Things are shaping up. Moving within 10 to go pretty soon. Now these guys need to worry about where they're placing themselves. We got 1 car down. That's Quarter in that number 4 Whiplash SimCam's car. I believe. Does he have a black flag at the moment? Yes, he does. He's got a black flag. There's a couple of drivers with black flags at the moment. Braxton Skinner, Jamie Plord, Dylan Yeager. I believe it was for the choose. It's one thing that the iRacing.com sim has not been able to properly get down when these guys do their choose cone, and it deems them passing under yellow. That's why they get those black flags that race control has to clear. There you see Josh Anderson, and you touched on it, Andrew. He did actually have a packet loss, and it stepped him out of the car. I just didn't catch it at the time, so that's a little bit on me there for the time being, but looks like he had packet loss. He's got that car back in the session. Currently, though, he is sitting about 2 laps down, so Christian Barnes still would be in that free pass position should we get another caution flag here, whether it be a wreck, a spin, or the stage caution.
Yeah, 2 cars set 1 lap down and still in this race. Those are Christian Barnes and now Matthew Quarter, who has lost a lap from his penalty. Josh Anderson 2 laps down. The rest of the vehicles that are lapped in this race are out of the race for the time being. Evan Patinko, Braden Van Wingerden, Gray Walker, and Adam Buzzio, who sits 38 laps down in this 39th lap of racing. And that lap goes complete with Yeager out in front, Brandvold second, Gilmore third. How about some of these newcomers in this top 5? Yeager, Gilmore, and Heath. And you know what, even top 10, we'll extend that to Derek Dryman, who sits in the 10th spot. Newcomers aplenty out front of this race.
Absolutely. Great to see the cream of the crop coming up into the top 10. And it's great seeing these new guys showing that they are here to race and having some fun. You see Heath making a move down to the bottom line, and he's taking Isaiah Sutherland and Nick Renner with him, as well as Johnny Wood Jr. So that 4-car line is going to break up the momentum of that 3 up top, and they are looking to take advantage. But look at that, Andrew. Renner has backed off, and that allows Gilmore to slot in line, Brandvold as well, and Yeager's going to slot in, try to at least. Doesn't quite get down there, and is going to get left to hang and dry.
The leaders will dispatch of car 42, who slides down in front of Johnny Wood Jr. That was dangerous, but he just makes it in line. Ronnie Osmer now leading the top lane with Andrew Rattel right behind him. Out front, though, Kyle Heath and Isaiah Sutherland lead this front group, this bottom lane, and they've got 6 cars now separated by a couple of tenths from Johnny Wood Jr. 6 cars out front of the field here at Daytona.
All single file racing throughout the top 10 at the moment. The first side-by-side battle is just outside the top 10, and that's even fizzling out as well. Isaiah Sutherland, no, excuse me, that's not Isaiah Sutherland, that is Coulter Clark. The Blues were similar, threw me off there for a moment, but they're falling a little bit further down the running order as it seems. No, that's not Coulter Clark either. That is, oh my goodness. I am losing my mind with paint teams right now. That's Andrew Rattel in that number 6 that I was talking about up on the outside line. Excuse me. I seem to be having a loss of perception at the moment.
Well, Kyle Heath leads this race. You know, just like every Pit Stop TV broadcast here 2025, here soon we'll start talking about driver of the day. And I got to say, we've seen a lot of the teams towards the front of the field today. If we look at laps led so far in this race, I know it's only 2 so far, but he has been around the pack, around the front of the field, pretty much all race long. If you look at his stats, he's only been, well, as low as 30th. I suppose that was on a pit stop or something, because he has been up front just about this entire race. This is a lot of fun to watch. A newcomer coming into this race and showing these guys kind of what for. I know it's Daytona, Zach, but anytime you see somebody stay up front like this, it's a good thing as they're getting stacked up. And King is in the wall. Rattel's around, Camper with him, and there we go. Dakota Bly a part of it. Oh boy. I gotta say, you know, compared to Atlanta, this is a much better race to kick off the season. I know we're kind of reacting largely to these crashes, but Zach, it is Daytona. These guys are traveling at 190 miles per hour, inches away from one another. It's bound to happen at some point, especially when you have 42 of them out there for the first time all season long. As you see the stack up there on your screen, Zach King just got staggered out of line and got pushed from behind, I believe. But, you know, I got to give these guys a break for sure. This is only the 3rd crash we've seen in 40-some laps. We are kicking the season off really nicely compared to Season 3, which was a fantastic season. Just had to get through that first race. This is a really good way to get things started. Now watch here, the 51 car of Zach King. Top lane, 4th in line. The top lane is slow off of turn 2, and he backs up. Ronnie Osmer was on his right rear. Rattel gave Osmer a shot. They just checked up. I mean, that's just a classic accordion effect of guys not realizing there's a checkup ahead and getting the bumper ahead of them.
It's going to be the 3rd time I'm going to say it because it's the 3rd time it's happened with these wrecks, Andrew. Don't push the pusher. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to be a broken record tonight because the stack ups are what's causing that with the whole don't push the pusher type thing that I keep saying. It's the stack ups are not allowing these guys to have that racing room that they need to react. And that's falling back on what I said earlier is this pack racing mentality and how it all works out. These guys are in a position where they have to react as quickly as they possibly can, and even when they react as quickly as they possibly can, there might not be that room that they need. Like a lot of people, when they run on these super speedways, the big thing that they do is that they try to stay on the bottom, because that gives them the most room to get away if there is a wreck. They have so much room down low. Up top, you just got a wall. That's about it. You got a car underneath you, you got a wall. That's all you can do. So giving yourself that room, the patience factor, that plays into it as well. Be patient, give yourself that racing room, and it's going to create a little bit better of a racing product. Not saying this is bad in any way, but it just gives them all a bit more cleaner cars, which I'm sure everybody wants to see Porter getting back on the lead lap here.
So Porter gets the lucky dog. Christian Barnes will have to wait, it seems, and that number 27, there he is. One other car, currently 1 lap down, would be Dakota Camper. He was just involved in that crash, and he is in the pit lane. And Zach, it looks like his day may have come to an end as that right front is off kilter a little bit. It is pointed to the right and to the outside wall. That is not what you want for that number 3. A lot of cars in the pit lane here. Cody Dorsey, one of them. I mean, this pit lane is alive for all the wrong reasons. These are guys that have damage and are trying to get it fixed. Dorsey, Stoccaro, Fritz, Borbell, Skinner, Bly and Hernandez are leaving the pit lane, but then Stallings, Rattel, King, Maddox, so many cars in the pit lane getting that damage fixed.
Yeah, and Skinner's been trying to get damage fixed since the first wreck of the night. And he's been having so much time spent on pit road. There you see Cameron Carden coming off pit road, that Whiplash Racing number 21. He's still got some left front damage after that one incident that he was involved in. That was the second caution of the night. And I can confirm your sentiments exactly on Dakota Camper. He is done for the night. He's got a pit for a repair flag. So he is going to be on pit road for a while as these guys are choosing. We see our leader choosing the high side, Kyle Heath. Get himself into position for this restart, setting up for the stage end here, Andrew. And I can confirm Gray Walker has elected to take that car behind the wall. He had been sitting on pit road after getting that pit for repair flag, and he is done for the event.
While under caution here, we can take a look at what's upcoming for Pit Stop TV. We'll have a short run to the end here of stage number 2, but for now, we take a look at what's ahead. This Thursday, Daytona International Speedway. We stay here in Florida this week. We'll come right back here to this very venue for the North American Racing League season finale on May the 8th. That should be a whole lot of fun. We are very much looking forward to closing out season number 7 with the North American Racing League. It has been a fun one, and there are single digits separating the top 2 in each division of driver. Mason Houseman has been with me all season long. Unfortunately, he can't make it this Thursday, but we'll still have great coverage this Thursday evening at Daytona International Speedway, brought to you by the North American Racing League and Maradness. Then next week, Tuesday, May 13th, we head out to Texas, the 2008 scan here for the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series, and then a week later, we head out to Iowa Speedway. So 3 very diverse racetracks to kick this season off: Daytona, Texas, and Iowa. And boy, we just keep getting smaller in size from 2.5 miles to 1.5 miles to 7/8 of a mile there. At Iowa. It should be a lot of fun. Regardless, you can catch all these broadcasts and more on all of our social media platforms down below on the bottom of your screen and in the YouTube description. This time at a turn number 4, bring the field around and get this race restarted with some 4 laps to go in stage number 2. Kyle Heath stays out front. Zachary Brandvold down low. Geico restart zone. We're back racing at Daytona. Nick Renner, 4th in line, giving a shove here. 4 cars breaking away out front, and there they stack up. Johnny Wood Jr. goes low, Nick Renner goes with him, and he's going to push the 75 here to 3rd place.
I hope these guys still keep in mind that this is a long race to run. The stage racing mentality has given drivers the ability to just kind of go at it, go ham, trying to get to stage points. And as we roll 3 laps to go into the stage, 3 laps to go till stage end here, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, you're racing to the end of the stage, but you're also racing another 50 laps on top of this. You've got to be mindful, got to keep things in check. Go for those stage points, but keep in mind, you've got more racing to go after you see that green and white checkered flag.
And right around that cutoff for 10th place right now, Eric Jensen is in the top 10. Gavin Rogers is out of the top 10. We'll be watching this rather closely here the last couple laps of stage number 2. We didn't get a great chance to look at the end of stage 1 because of the crash, but stage 2 here might go green. We'll see as they shake up out front. Isaiah Sutherland gets shaken out, and oh, Jensen, a stack up there down low. Hang on to it, guys. Let's not end stage 2 the same way we ended stage 1. 2 to go here in stage number 2 this time by.
Selby got a little out of line, but he stays pretty even with that top line. And pit road has been closed by race control. Nobody is able to take their cars down pit road. A little off center there as Johnny Wood Jr. is trying to keep a bumper on Kyle Heath and keep himself rolling. Oh, there goes the move though. 75 to the top line. Is Renner going to go with him? Yes, he does. 22 up top. They're going to get pushed. They're still getting pushed around. The 42 Jaeger got squirrely right in front of the 44 of Dryman. They're going to jump right down to the bottom line, leave that top line hanging. So now he's 3rd in line on the bottom. Sutherland behind him. They're coming back to the white flag in the stage, Andrew.
Watch Nick Renner here, second in line down low. He's
Three
laid
wide.
back off of Johnny Wood Jr. to get a run. Gavin Rogers goes 3 wide there inside the top 10. Here comes Dylan Yeager on the outside. 1 lap to go here in stage number 2.
You'd think they'd be racing to the end of the race here, Andrew. That's what it feels like with the mentality and the aggression level we're seeing with these drivers. Johnny Wood Jr. still clear out in front. Nick Renner now back up into the second spot, pushing hard on that bottom line. They are fully clear. Now Heath is clear to make a move up to the top line. Will he choose to do so? He's going to stay in line for the time being. That was the time to go, but he did not have the help. That top 3 full clear of the fight behind, and if they keep fighting behind, it's going to be
spinning.
a race to the end. That's Selby.
That was Jason Bottoms in the wall.
Oh,
Johnny Wood
colors moving
Jr.
off.
is going to come around and complete stage 2 out front. Stage 2 winner. Johnny Wood Jr. out of Mooresville, North Carolina, wins stage number 2, just ahead of Nick Renner and Kyle Heath. Looks like it'll be Isaiah Sutherland possibly in 4th. No, Dylan Yeager it looks like maybe. Then Sutherland, Dryman, Brandvold, Osmer, Gilmore, and Rogers. Your top 10. Give or take a spot or 2, maybe switching around at the line, but that will complete stage number 2. And there was a crash there coming to the end of the stage. Jason Bottoms, unfortunately, the fan club in tatters right now. Let's see what happened to the 95 club. Oh, one went way down low. Who was that? That was Selby.
Okay, so I knew something happened to Selby. I called out the wrong car there. Ooh. Looks like Wolsifer was down there as Bottoms was coming down the track, and that just seemed like a game of self-clear right there.
Yeah, Jason Bottoms unfortunately not clear to get to the bottom, but he will continue on, albeit with some new right side damage on that number 95 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. I gotta say, we've torn a lot of cars up, but we still have a lot of good cars left in this race. Johnny Wood Jr., one of them, as he comes around and wins stage number 2. We'll be talking to him on the far side of some pit stops. And this will be the first time, Zach, that we really cover pit stops this evening. We've been covering replays and whatnot to this point, but this caution, we'll be able to see these guys come in for 4 tires and fuel. And this is an important pit stop. This is likely the final time, or possibly the final time, these guys come in and get a full service. We very well may see 2 tires and fuel later on in this race, or even no tires and a tank of gas later on to get to the end. This may be the final set of tires these guys throw on the car.
It could be, and I want you to keep this top 10 in mind from the stage. So you got Johnny Wood Jr. winning the stage, Renner, Heath, Yeager, Sutherland right behind, Dryman, Brandvold, Osmer, Gilmore, and Jensen. These guys have all been kind of showing up a little bit late now. You know, the things that happened up front have shaken everything around, and the guys that were hanging a little bit further back, they're coming up to the front of the field now as we see pit stops going on. Johnny Wood Jr. started 40th. Let's keep that in mind, Andrew. Johnny Wood Jr. started 40th. Renner started 19th. You've got Yeager, who finished 4th in the stage. He started 10th on the field. You've got other guys like Dryman, who started 35th, and he finished pretty high up in the stage. These guys that started towards the back that were sandbagging are now coming up to the front and starting to make their names known.
A couple of cars stay out. One of them is Ronnie Osmer. He will assume the race lead. He pitted 8 laps ago, so he's good on fuel for right now. And you see the race off the pit lane there as Josh Parent will come in and take his stop. There's Zachary Randall working off the pit lane. Nick Renner was the first of the lead lap cars to pit and exit. Scott Fritz followed, then Johnny Wood Jr. and Patrick Hernandez. Ronnie Osmer here will take no service. He's a new part of Southern Excitement Racing, a brand new team that's been formed here from some drivers over at Racers for Christ. Ronnie Osmer, we've seen that name before here on Pit Stop TV. Good to see him this evening in the BRB Racing League, in this season rather, in the 15 car. Let's take a look, or I guess have a conversation with rather, the number 75, Johnny Wood Jr. Of course, he wins stage number 2, and we will bring him in for a comment here in just 1 second. Let me look for him in the driver chat channels. We've got to search around. There we go. Limitless Esports all the way at the top of the chain. A 3-car team this season. We'll bring in driver 75 for a quick chat. Johnny able to power away to a stage 2 win there with some help from Nick Renner. Stage 1 a little bit chaotic. Stage 2 even more so. How's the 75 holding up?
Yeah, big props to Nick sticking with us on that last run there, getting the stage win. We got a couple teammates on track. We're going to see if we can't stick together and see what we can do.
And we saw you guys linked up early there in stage 1, and then things went awry. We saw Richard get caught up in a crash and whatnot. But what's the team mentality like in a race like this, trying to get all you guys to victory lane if possible?
Yeah, it's about getting connected fast. If you can pit all together and then come out on pit road together, lower the margin on laps, or lower the margin on fuel. That way you can, get out faster and everything. So that's the trick. Save fuel now on your next pit. You're less time on pit road, And
we know
no tires.
We know season 3 kind of ended a little bit poorly for you. You were in that championship run, and then things went off the deep end there. I know you had an illness for a couple of weeks, and things just didn't go quite right. What's the attack mode like going into season number 4 here, and do you think you can run for that championship?
Yeah, I think we can probably win it this year. We're going to attack it pretty hard in the beginning, kind of do the opposite of what we did last year. That way we don't have to play catch up about mid-season. And then finish it all the way out. Hopefully, I will miss Iowa, so that will be my one drop. Going on vacation, so I can't make that one. But other than that,
well, it's good to see here as season 4 gets started, back with Limitless Esports and whatnot. Congratulations on the stage 2 win, and hopefully we're talking to you in the top 3 later on.
Yeah. Later.
We'll see you later. That's Johnny Wood Jr. in the Renewal by Anderson Limitless Esports, number 75 Chevrolet Camaro. Love that new camo look on that Limitless 75. A very bold statement for sure as far as paint schemes go. Ronnie Osmer and Nick Renner, though, going to bring us around to the next green flag this evening. And this will begin stage number 3. While we have a quick moment, we got to take a look at weather conditions, Zach, as the sun begins to set behind the grandstands, and we still have a while. This should stay a day race all race long, but as we get later in the day anyways, about 80 degrees in the air, clear skies, 89 degrees on track, nothing too crazy, beautiful conditions for a race. As here we go, back to the Geico restart zone. We'll get this race restarted. Ronnie Osmer in control of the BRB Racing League field. We are back green at Daytona. Nick Renner with a run down the backstretch. He's got a shove and a push and everything else, a helping down the backstretch from Johnny Wood Jr. Those two have linked up down the back straightaway and into turn number 3.
Though, Andrew, you can see just how much that top line is starting to work out. And one thing to think about as we roll into stage number 3, Ronnie Osmer staying out on the racetrack. That kind of put a little bit of a damper in for Josh Anderson, who's 2 laps down. He's trying to stay out to get away from around. Didn't exactly work out in his favor because Ronnie was the only lead lap car in front of him not to pit. So you probably saw it while we were talking to Johnny there under the stage yellow that Josh dropped below the yellow line to let these guys choose. He had to drop to the back, and then race control was trying to get everybody to tighten up for the restart. So now things are all squared away. Everything's all settled, obviously, because now we're back green flag racing, Andrew, and that top line is still as strong as ever.
And you know what's curious about that is Ronnie and Josh are teammates. Both racing for Southern Excitement Racing, you would think, anyways, that Ronnie would have pitted so as to not hold up Josh Anderson at 2 laps down and not force him to stay that way. Very interesting that Ronnie stayed out on the older tires and fuel and forced Josh Anderson to stay 2 laps down, and that's going to hurt the organization as a whole. But every driver for themselves, right? This is a dog-eat-dog kind of race. Nick Renner said it earlier in the Whiplash Racing team chat. At the end of the day, it's every man for himself when it comes down to the checkered flag. So while, yes, you want to help your teammate and you want to help your team overall achieve the best result possible, you also have to think about yourself in your own race, and it's a very difficult balance to achieve, but you got to try and do so here at Daytona. I do want to recap and give a thanks to our BRB Racing League partners this season. We've got a new graphic on there. BRB, of course, brought to you by the Buttkicker. Ascendance Trucks, Idea Lease, Sundance Pizza, and now Performance Food Group as, oh dear, Ronnie Osborne. No, that's not, rather Nick Renner actually blinking a little bit there across the stripe.
Not what you want to see. Not at all what you want to see. As these guys roll through one position, you know, we're halfway through, Andrew. We've hit cross flags. You know, this is starting to get into crunch time, and we're starting to figure out what they need to do with their strategies, how they want to play this game. You see a couple of cars shuffling around back there on what line they want to be in. And, you know, as this race comes closer and closer to the end, we're going to start setting up how these guys are going to try to manage that fuel number. And it looks like we're hearing from a few of the drivers, actually, that Renner is having a couple of problems.
He's blinking a little bit more and more. While we have this graphic up still, briefly, I want to cover a couple of cars in the field that are sporting a couple of sponsored paint schemes by partners of the series. There is the Performance Food Group number 2 of Stephen Borbell. Really good looking number 2 car. I really enjoyed this paint scheme. It's very simple.
Caution on
there it
speedway.
is. Well, Zachary Maddox, it seems, and Zachary King are in trouble. I also want to take a look at the number 17 of Gavin Rogers, the Sundance Pizza, number 17 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Caution comes out here on lap 59 and will halt our progress. And it seems that Zach Maddox and Zach King possibly are involved in this one. I know the 14 is. That's Zach Maddox. As he'll pull away, and he's got a lot of front-end damage.
That is unfortunate to see. I know both Zach and Brendan Maddox were running opposing Whataburger schemes. They were very happy to see that they were running those tonight. There you see Carl Pooler with a little bit of damage as well. Maddox already has some front-end damage on that race car. Both of them missing or somewhat getting involved in those earlier wrecks.
And a stack up. Skinner kind of ran over the 14, and that's that. Ooh. Oh, and Maddox tagged King as he went for a spin. I mean, oh, wow. And Jason Bottoms just sneaks on through.
Lucky at number 95, we'll say, for Jason Bottoms getting through that one. And
I'm not sure where the checkup started, but you can see where it ended, and that was, again, Skinner getting to the back of the 14. So I know, and this is all in good fun. I know one driver from Accelerate was a little unhappy with getting run over earlier. Well, the Accelerate driver runs over another driver and causes a caution. It's all in good fun, but a mere observation.
Yes,
it's
observation.
It's part of it. It really is. You check up here, you don't check up there. It's Skinner did nothing wrong.
The momentum got broken up when Borbell went to the top right there. You can see just how much they got closer together. And then you see Borbell comes back in line. That's what caused it right there. Borbell checked back in line. He got out of line, came back in. That stacked him up.
Did see that time that Skinner also went for a slide in that number 33 car. And this caution comes out just before pit lane, or I guess the pit window would open. So Osmer will stay out. Osmer will stay out again. Everybody else, for the most part, comes in. We do see a couple of stragglers staying out, including Josh Parent, Matthew Corder, and Cameron Carden. I don't know why I stumbled over that name.
Not to say Nick Renner there for a second of what it sounded like.
I almost did. It's the 21, not the 22. 5 cars end up staying out here under this caution. Osmer, Parent, Corder, Carden, and Rattel. It's interesting to me. Yeah, it's interesting to me that 3 of the Whiplash racing cars all stayed out under this yellow, Zach. Parent, Carden, and Corder working together, of course, it seems like. Everybody else pretty much coming in. Scott Fritz leads the charge back onto the racetrack, along with Matthew Selby and Patrick Hernandez. Throw in Dylan Yeager as well, all coming in to at least top up on fuel. And, you know, Sunday, we had the Majors Speedway 500. And a big highlight in that race, Zach, was what would happen if a caution came out at the end of the race. Well, we would not have gotten restarted. The race would have been over. It would have ended under caution. And in that race, those drivers did not have to afford for extra fuel. So they were running the race in reverse, trying to make sure they had just enough fuel at the end. In this race, however, we know overtime is likely. So these guys want to make sure they have enough fuel to go into overtime if it does happen. It's a completely different ball game from what we saw on Sunday evening. So if you're joining us and maybe watch that race and are watching this race and wondering about that, it's a whole different ballgame. You have to manage the race so differently. It's a different style of racing, even though they're both 2.5-mile speedways and cars that are just about wide open for a full lap. It's a very different style, very different kind of energy, and very different kind of management that's required. So just an interesting note there. These guys will want to top about fuel and make sure they have enough to go to the end. At the same time, I think these guys that stayed out know that even if you pit here under this yellow, Zach, you've got to pit again.
Yeah, but Andrew, you want to talk about a different ball game, a different complexity. We're going to talk about the teammate game here for a second, because this is one thing that we should really touch on now as we get closer and closer to the end of the race. We already talked about it earlier, about how these guys need their teammates up front to help them when it comes to pushes, to being there for when it's come time to the end of the race. We talked about it. 3 of the Whiplash cars stayed out. They all picked the top. All 3 of them are running nose to tail. And I'm going to ask you here, Andrew, what's your opinion on how these teammates are running here at the end of this race? All of them picking the top, so they're all there for drafting help. We saw how the Maverick Motorsport guys dominated last season with most of their team finishing inside the top. We saw them finish 3 cars top 3 most of the time. Like, this is the type of thing that we want to see out of these guys when it comes to their teammates.
It's I go back to what we were talking about earlier, where Nick Renner said in the team chat, it's kind of a dog-eat-dog race. You can run this race 2 types of ways, either with your team or without. And for the most part, I think these guys tend to run the race without. But Whiplash Racing, unbeknownst to us, you and I are kind of the team owners over there, so
You're more team owner than I am.
Unbeknownst to us, they are choosing to line up and do this as a team kind of order. It's interesting to observe that they are doing the same thing here, running the same pit strategy and all lining up top. We don't really see any other team doing that. I'm looking through the order, seeing if any other teammates are lined up, and I don't really see anybody other than those 3. And I don't want to keep talking about our team, Zach, but nobody else is teaming up like that. So anyways, here we go. Back to the Geico restart zone. Ronnie Hosmer still in control. Green flag back out. Did miss a couple of teammates, Zach. Ronnie Osmer and Andrew Rattel, teammates over at Southern Excitement Racing. They control the bottom lane there. Osmer down low, Rattel right behind him. But there goes Parent, Quarter, and Carden on the top side of the racetrack, lined up 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, the Whiplash cars starting to get hooked up, but they've got some Limitless cars right behind them. And Eric Jensen trying to stay in this fight. The other Whiplash car separated by those 2 right behind him on the top, and a Limitless car behind him as well. So Limitless, Whiplash, a few other teams, they're all up here trying to make their names known. And we want to talk about names known too. There's a lot of guys in here, Andrew, that we have seen in other broadcasts here on the Pitstop TV sim, or Pitstop TV broadcast, excuse me. I'm getting my words twisted around. Ronnie Osborne, we've seen him in a lot of the Regal Promotions. We even saw Scott Fritz and Matthew Selby in some of the Regal Promotions races. So there's a lot of who's who of familiar faces around here as well.
It is always good to see that kind of crossover and who runs other races that we broadcast. And as you mentioned, we saw Ronnie Osmer last May in Regal Promotions race that you went on to win. So nice tie in there, but
yeah,
3 wide.
The luck is gone.
3 wide in the middle of this opening pack as lap 64 goes complete with Osmer out front, Rattel in second. They lead the bottom lane. Josh Parent trying to get going on the top side.
I'm getting nervous about that top side, Andrew. You see that wiggle coming through the front straightaway tri-oval? That was kind of scary. Now you see them broken up a little bit, too.
These cars will go right over the top of us here with this camera angle as one car moves around to the middle of the pack. That was Jamie Ford, kind of middle lane. Let's go on board with number 38. Here he is. He has been kind of all over the racetrack. He's one of the few drivers in this league out of New England, racing with... hang on, look at the team chart. I think he stayed over at Races for Christ, and yes, he did.
He is with Races for Christ.
Yeah, there's 2 teams kind of out of the same stable, Races for Christ and Southern Excitement Racing. And it was Dakota Camper who split off from Races for Christ and began Southern Excitement Racing. brought in Ronnie Osmer, brought in Andrew Rattel, and brought over Josh Anderson to form that team, SER. So it's interesting to just see kind of where drivers move around to. And then, of course, Races for Christ brought in Kyle Keith, a newcomer here to the BRB Racing League. As there goes Gavin Rogers, making it 3 wide on top of the Pit Stop TV 54.
Again? That's not the first time he's done that tonight, Andrew. By himself, no less. That's not the first time he's done it by himself.
Rogers
He
getting
just tagged
aggressive.
the wall a little bit.
There is a secondary pack as these guys stay 3 wide that is led currently by Cody Dorsey, I think. Yes. Or no, actually led by Josh Anderson, who's 2 laps down. Cody Dorsey sits in the 27th spot, leading that charge with Carl Pooler, Zachary King, Sam Dyer, Zachary Maddox, Braxton Skinner, Dakota Bly, Jason Bottom, Robert Moyer, and Dan Stockaro. He is off the pace, some 22 seconds back of the leaders, but he is on the lead lap. May not be that way for long.
Things still shaping up and shipping around, we'll say. There's so much left in this race to go, Andrew, and I think there's still some added potential of these guys getting back on the lead lap and potentially being contenders for this race win. I mean, we talk about guys that are laps down. Josh Anderson, you know, you just called it. He got one of his laps back already, so he's only 1 lap down. Everybody else is just about out of the race, so he doesn't have to worry. He can just kind of ride, take his time, do what he needs to do, because he's the only one who's going to get the free pass. You've got Dakota Camper, who's out of the race, the most recent one out of the race. Braden Van Wingerden. Excuse me. I'm still getting tongue-tied on that one. He's 33 laps down. He's out of the race. And Patinko's out of the race. Gray Walker's out of the race. And obviously we still have Adam Muzio out of the race. He has been out of the race since before we even took the green flag. So there's still so much left to go in this race, Andrew. You can't count out a caution coming out. You can't count out someone having a misstep that would prevent you, that would elevate you to getting that free pass position of someone falling further back. There's always something going on. We see 3 wide through the middle there. Is that Gavin Rogers again? Yes, it is. He keeps going 3 wide.
Gavin Rogers keeping things exciting in the mid-pack. 3 wide there between Coulter Clark and Patrick Hernandez. Here comes Nick Renner to save him. A big shove there from the 22 car. And that shoves the 17 back out to get a good run here to turn number 3. We'll see if Rogers takes it middle again. Clark defending the top side of the racetrack. And we've got a lot of great paint schemes out there this season. I am definitely partial to that massive Pit Stop TV logo on the number 54 of Coulter Clark. That just looks really good. So props to Maddox Graphics for putting that one together. That is a really good looking Toyota Camry this season. And we're excited to be partnered up with the 54 car of Coulter Clark for a large portion here of 2025 in season number 4 in the BRB Racing League. Now, Ronnie Osborne and Andrew Rattel, they have fallen back on the inside lane with Fritz and Selby. And we are getting a very much single file top lane kind of look out front every once in a while. We had about 4 or 5 cars clear that time, and then the bottom lane came back through 3 and 4.
They are. So Whiplash 1, 2, 3 on the top. Right behind them, though, is one of the Limitless Esports guys, and it's Richard Wolsifer. And it's so great to see Wolsifer up in front. And I'm going to knock on wood because I very much need to do when I'm talking about Richard Wolsifer. His luck from last season was abysmal, and I think he has got a fresh new mindset, and he's looking to rebound going into this year. Wolsifer has been very quick. He ended up second to Borbell in the last race of the season, trying to already start some of that rebound, get himself in position to win some races, make the chase. He barely made the chase last season. If you remember, that was a good old fight between him and Scott Fritz, I think it was, for that last transfer spot.
Wolfsburg did make the chase, couldn't do much with it, ended up, I think, 12th overall, 11th or so. It was not a great postseason for him, but definitely wants to improve on that and build on that, take the bad luck of old and turn it into good luck of new. We'll see what ends up happening for Richard this season. And it'll be interesting for these guys to digest this race and talk about it, debrief on Thursday. I know we're broadcasting here on Pit Stop TV on Thursday, but if you're listening to us, hopefully you also tune in to the BRB Holler podcast. That'll be taking place this Thursday evening at about 9 Eastern. Make sure to tune in there. It's the Holler podcast on YouTube, where you can tune in and catch that event, that podcast on Thursday evening. We invite you to do so. Even though we're broadcasting Night, maybe catch the North American Racing League event, and then go watch that as they digest and debrief here from race number 1. Carden in the wall, Wolfsburg in the wall. They both dust up the outside fence that time through 3 and 4. I gotta say, this is really cool to see the Whiplash Racing 1, 2, 3 up front. I'll break the fourth wall down for a moment here, Zach. We've been talking about them a lot. We're not really trying to. They are, of course, our teammates, our team. We're inevitably going to be talking about them a good bit this season. But it is really nice to see a bunch of brand new drivers, or returning driver in the case of Quarter, up front, leading the race as a team. And one car is in the wall. It is the 24 of Isaiah Sutherland. Just got the outside wall big time in turn 3.
Yeah, luckily they saved it. We are going to stay green flag racing, so that's great heads-up driving for all of those guys back there. And I know race control has been, oh, wow, 3 wide there, and Sutherland gets hard into the wall. That's going to be some heavy contact for that 24. No pit for repair flags for any driver, so it looks like they'll all keep rolling. And I'm sure Sutherland is now going to have to roll with that. And we'll have to wait and see here. Something about a late block out of Brendan Maddox, potentially.
We'll see it from Isaiah's perspective here. I didn't see a late block the first time, but we'll see it this time. And maybe see if we can see it literally from his point of view. And to turn number 3. The 23 is a little high. 24 goes middle. He's there. If anything, the 91 came up.
Yeah.
That's
I want to feel like that is. I want to feel like that is on Hernandez. I don't know. I heard something over the driver radio about late blocking, and you know, the big thing that I'm looking at there is that Hernandez was right there, and Sutherland went for a 3 wide move, and that hole just closed. That's one thing you got to remember about super speedway racing, ladies and gentlemen. That hole can close as quickly as it opened. But you know, we talked to him earlier in the race, and now he's back. He's recovered, Andrew, and he's back to the race lead. That 27 of Barnes getting pushed by Jensen, past Parent and past Quarter, now to the race lead, and they're bringing Plord with him for a 3-car single file, but is on the bottom rather than the top now.
And momentum has completely shifted. That top lane has fallen apart. The bottom lane has come alive. It is Barnes, Jensen, Plord, and Moore down low. That also brings Osmer and Littell. As we hit the 3-quarter mark that time across the start-finish line. Parent, Quarter, and Carden all fall back a little bit. But Barnes goes back to the point. The race lead here brings Jensen, brings Plord. And Zach, we covered those cars that stayed out a couple of cautions in a row. Ronnie Osmer was one of them. He's been on the racetrack now without pitting for 31 laps. It's an 80% fuel load. On a good day, with a full fuel load, you can go about 40 laps, if that. Sometimes 37 or 38. So this is danger territory. I mean, 80%, I'll do the math quickly on Google, of course. Let's see. So let's say 40 times 0.8. That would come out to 32 laps. I don't think he can go much beyond 35, considering he's saved under caution.
Well, he's got a break because the caution's out.
You're kidding me.
I am not. Heard someone spinning in the background, and there it is. Zachary King, Cameron Gilmore, see Zachary Maddox, Nick Renner. They're all just getting on by. Not sure who was involved. The only ones that I can say for certain were involved were, I think, Zachary King and Cameron Gilmore. There's Sutherland making his way through the middle once again. He's pushing Heath. They're 3 wide, and Heath makes contact, and they all start spinning through the pit lane.
Well,
not sure who's going to have black flags there.
Well, watch the 22 going back on the racetrack here along with the 24. 24, what was it down? Renner just came straight back on the racetrack, and that is a bad look. Oh my gosh, Zachary King, no.
Man. And Josh Anderson, he was going to get the free pass. He's got a meatball flag. So a couple of the small motorsport guys getting involved in this one. Not to mention Josh Anderson with, oh, you're going to have to remind me of that one again, Andrew. He is with...
Anderson's with Southern Excitement, but we're trying to watch what happened there to start this. Let's go back and watch it one more time and debrief. So watch the 24 and 13, middle of the racetrack beneath the 44 of Dryman. Off of turn 4 here, let's slow it down. Sutherland kind of goes up the racetrack and Dryman comes down. Dryman ends up hooking the 13 of Heath. Heath then gets loose and kind of brings the 24 and 22 down with him. Then we'll let it go full speed for a moment. They both go through the pit lane and merge back on the racetrack. And I'm sorry, Nick, you've got to not do this right here. You can't rejoin like that. That is...
No.
Oh my gosh. And then Zachary King, that's not a great look either.
There's not much that you can really take away from that, Andrew.
I don't like this incident. I really don't like this incident. One of my drivers is the heart of it. And we got one of our friends and one of our commentators, Zach King, also involved. And we'll watch this from Zach's point of view, and then we'll get the report from race control. Zach just turns left here, and even if he made it through this, I mean, he's going to be flying back onto the banking, and he just drills the 10 of Cameron Gilmore, and that's both of their days done. I very much do not like that incident at all. As here we go, off the pit lane, Matthew Corder is going to lead the charge out of the pits, followed by Barnes, Wolfsver, Hernandez, and Fritz. Corder is going to take a very short pit stop, only 7.5 seconds. That is indicative
off on gas.
Of gas only. But then what happens to the 90 here? Josh Parent, it looks like, will take almost full service. And then Cameron Cardin, it looks like, might have taken some damage repairs to get back on the racetrack. Christian Barnes, he took a short stop. Richard Wolfsver took a short stop. That makes sense. Same for Patrick Hernandez and Scott Fritz. And even Coulter Clark there in the 54.
Well, they've got enough fuel to make it to the end now. One thing I was going to bring up throughout the race, Andrew, was just how these guys were going to split the stage up when it came to the fuel mileage. But now we're good to the end. Potentially enough for 1 or 2 green-white checkers, maybe even 3. So these guys are in a safe space right now. And the word from race control, by the way, on the matter of that caution, it looks like for the matter of the incident, Nick Renner is going to receive a drive-through penalty after taking the green flag. And he has to take the green flag. This was made clear in the rule book for this season. And I believe it was made clear last season as well. These drivers have to take the green flag and complete that first lap, or at least take that green flag on that first lap, so that way they can take that black flag and not somehow cheese the system a little bit in terms of once they see that green flag come out, immediately duck into the pit lane and save themselves a little bit. But Nick Renner, black flag, drive-through penalty. He made his case to race control. They didn't really take that into account.
Well, when we go back green, Zach, we've got to begin our conversation of driver of the day. And if we bring up, I know pit stops just shook things up, but if we bring up the ticker and look at positions gained so far in this race, you're talking 11 for Corder, 25 for Wolfsver, 18 for Barnes and a stage win, 30 positions gained for Patrick Hernandez, 33 for Johnny Wood Jr., 17 for Matthew Selby. Some really big gains around the field in the top 10 alone, and some really big losses on the other end as well. But, I mean, Porter's kind of coming alive here. Barnes is one to... I think Barnes is definitely going to get comeback of the day as long as he can hang on for 20 more laps here, considering he won Stage 1, dropped out of the session, got back in the race, got his lap back, and is back here in the top 3, led some more laps. That is a huge story for car 27. Richard Wolfsver as well. Big comeback after being involved in 2 straight crashes to start this race. Patrick Hernandez just flying under the radar, gaining a ton of spots. Those 3 especially. Wolfsver, Barnes, and Hernandez. Really, really cool stories as we move forward in this race. We'll keep an eye on that conversation for North American Racing League Driver of the Day today. But before we go back green, let's watch the iRacing.com pace car go back down to the relative safety of pit lane and get this race restarted. We are back green with 20 to go at Daytona. Porter getting a shove from Richard Wolsifer. They were squirrely through turn 1. They soared out through turn number 2, and down the Daytona super stretch we go.
Yeah, I saw Quarter jump straight up to the top. That's where he's got teammate help at the moment. Obviously separated by about 3 cars, though. You see Barnes leading that bottom line charge. Scott Fritz back up into the mix. Matthew Selby back up here as well. Josh Perrin drops to the bottom in front of Gavin Rogers, who's made his way back up here from some dicey 3-wide moves to get back up inside this top 10. There are a lot of drivers that I would really start picking for driver of the day up here, Andrew. There's a lot of good picks up here for guys that drop to the back after getting involved with stuff early on. A lot of comebacks right now. There's a lot of comebacks up here in the front.
If you're feeling like it, we may as well do it. Inside of 20 to go. Got to give the fans a little bit of time to vote, so we will bring it up. And Zach, if you're so antsy, I'm going to give you the floor.
Yeah, Christian Barnes is my first pick. If you weren't going to pick him, I was. Man dropped a lap down and fought his way back up, and he's leading this race once again, our Stage 1 winner. He's been able to keep himself in contention for this race win, and I got to admire that. That is some attrition right there, and I have seen attrition as a race car driver. It's one thing you always got to watch out for. Almost got 3 wide back there. You see Renner dicking down. Oh, caution. We might have a caution here.
It was Jared Hughes, I think, through the grass. Yellow flag comes out, and we are crashing again.
Got
a couple of cars
what
with
does that
massive
mean for
damage.
Renner?
He should get the penalty because he came into the pit lane there before the caution came out. That should count as served, I think. Let's go back and review what just happened here. Watch the Sundance Pizza number 98 of Jared Hughes on the inside lane. They stack up top. And Ronnie Osborne, Andrew Rattel got shoved down the racetrack, and that sent Hughes down to the grass, but that wasn't even the source of the caution. They stacked up on top of the racetrack, and that's what caused it. In fact, the actual crash was just out of shot there. Watch the 15. Get a good angle here of Ronnie Osmer. He's going to get by it, but the 6 of Rattel, oh my gosh. Massive impact to the outside wall.
Some heavy impacts right there. Branville Dorsey getting involved late there. So much going on. Nobody with pit for repair flags at the moment, though. Gilmore still has his. Sutherland and Dakota Bly have black flags, but I'm sure Race Control will be clearing those soon. Ooh. Oh, man, just some heavy impacts.
Was off the nose of Dryman. That also includes Borbell.
Oh, my goodness.
That?
Getting up on 2 wheels on the wall right there.
Robert Moyer Jr. flying into the crash. That was a big hit for the 16 car.
Right side of the wall, left side's in the air.
See Renner peel off the pit lane.
There's the initial cause right there. And I gotta say, Andrew, I really feel like, wow, that was crazy. But I really feel like that it accordion affected from Quarter up in the front, getting loose or moving around a little bit in front. You see him shifting around, shifting lanes. I don't know if Wolsifer gave him a bad tap. It's a little late to the show right there, but
I actually have a different hypothesis. Watch the 91.
91 of Hernandez. There's the pushing.
Here. It almost appears as though he lifts right there and then tries to lift more to get down to the bottom. You see that?
Ooh, yeah. No, you might be right on that one, actually.
It's like when
it was Quarter.
It's like when he saw things go awry up ahead between the 4 and 56, he decided to get out of lane, and he was trying to get out of the bottom, and that just checked up the whole bottom lane. Let's see. Did the 22 make it to pit lane before that caution? Here's the envelope.
Apparently he didn't, because he made his case to Race Control saying he entered a closed pit. So I don't know if that would qualify as serving the drive-through penalty if the pit's closed before he got there. There he is. Watch the light on the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. He smoked it. The light was green. Did he make pace speed, though, Andrew? That was a heavy entry into the pit lane.
So I don't know if this is going to help race control at all. I hope it does. Watch the flag stand, okay? The green light there, and I'll even pause this for a second. Hang on. Pause. Let me back over to here and make a couple more clicks. Watch the flag stand. You can just see those green pixels. Keep an eye on that as we slow this down. He's going to hit the pit line before the flag stand turns yellow. And nothing to do with the fact that he's one of our drivers, but he hits the pit lane before those lights go yellow. Race control obviously has the rules in front of them. We don't, Zach, but I would think that means he's on pit lane first.
I would assume so. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, he is trying to beat it to that yellow cone. There you see the lights have turned yellow now. Everything has pretty much played out in Renner's favor.
I don't, like I said, I don't know if that helps or not. Maybe it does. Hopefully it does. Just an observation once again. So, anyways, while these guys come around and pace out of this caution lap and come back around to reform the field, let's take a look again at driver of the day conversation, Zach. Of course, you've already brought up Christian Barnes. Really good pick there. If we bring the ticker back up, and I want to look at one stat in particular, laps led. Josh Perrin's got 13. I'm going to let this cycle through a little bit. We'll look at everybody. Josh Perrin's got 13. Ronnie Osmer's got 14. So looking at who's been out front the most in this race. 2 for Yeager, 2 for Renner, 9 for Heath. He's been out front a bit. 3 for Fritz, 1 for Plord, 2 for Quarter. But it's really been Perrin and Barnes, it seems like, out front and the most so far today.
Don't forget Osmer. Ronnie Osmer and Barnes have been are tied at the moment for laps led. If we're looking at the ticker, 13 laps led for Josh Perrin, so he's close to them on laps led as well. The closer we get to the end of this race, the more so we'll have a clear picture on who has most laps led on the day. But, you know, I think if you're in conversation for the race win, it's got to be between those three.
And then you look at positions gained. 37 for Johnny Wood Jr. I'll be honest, boy. Zach. You nominated Christian Barnes for coming back through the field. I got to nominate the 75 car, Johnny Wood Jr. 37 positions gained. That is no easy feat, so we'll give him a nomination and give you the 4 for the next one.
Yeah, I think in terms of nominations, you know, I'm very tempted to pick Josh Perrin, but I don't want to be placing the team bias game here. So he's done a good job, and I'll keep that in mind for an honorable mention as well. But I think one driver that I'm going to have to pick for driver of the day is Gavin Rogers, because he has been making moves left and right to put himself in position, and he is up inside the top 5, top 6 right now, so he's got a good shot at getting this race win.
We'll let this restart play out, and then I'll give you my fourth total, but second personal nomination as we go back green here. Let's bring the ticker down for just a moment, get this race restarted, and we'll resume that conversation as we go back green. On to the Daytona Super Stretch. 14 laps to go here in the opening race of the BRB Buttkicker Cup Series Season number 4. Fritz, Wood up top along with Rogers and Plord and Wolsifer. And you know what, Zach? I think I'm going to... Oh, whoa! Hang on to it, guys! Let's not crash here off the restart. Hang on! Wow, what a catch from everybody involved.
I don't know who we're going to mention it for, but somebody's got to get nominated for Lucky Performance, Lucky Break of the Day on that one.
I'll give it to Scott Fritz. I don't know how he saved that race car.
Oh, boy. That was dicey. Josh Perrin now up to 3rd, though. He's got Quarter behind him with Gavin Rogers, and they're all moving to the top. They are shifting those race cars up. Selby's looking to take it to the top as well. He's going to block that top line. That shuffles Josh and Gavin Rogers around. Now we're 3 wide. Ronnie Osmer through the middle.
Ronnie Osmer makes that big move to go through the middle of the field and go right up to the top of the front of the bottom lane, but that changes as Selby brings the field down low along with Parent, Rogers, Porter, and Fritz. I'm going to to give my other nominations so we can get the vote live to Richard Wolsifer. He has done a great job of managing this race since his bad luck early and is trying to outlast that bad luck. So that driver of the day vote has just gone live over on YouTube. And what we need you guys to do that are watching this broadcast is go vote on YouTube. Of course, if you're hearing my voice, you're watching the broadcast. If you're not watching on YouTube, click on over to YouTube quickly, at least to vote. Richard Wolsifer, the 4th nomination for driver of the day. Some great options. Donnie Wood Jr., Christian Barnes, Gavin Rogers, Richard Wolsifer. Really good options here for driver of the day as we hit 12 laps to go and we come around this time to 11.
And I can confirm, it seems like Mason Houseman has also confirmed in the YouTube chat as well that Nick Renner has served his penalty. They're not giving him any other altercations to it. The penalty's been served. You can see him towards the tail end of this lead pack. And, you know, we're getting within 10 laps to go, Andrew. This is where we start seeing some racing really pick up. We got going around, though. Renner's going around. Oh, no.
Not Renner.
He saved it, though. No, he did. He was going around, going onto the tri-oval, or going onto the banking in the tri-oval.
Oh. Zach King going to work back onto the racetrack here and go another lap down. Looks like he's all, actually, this will be his first lap down that he goes, but he is down through the grass with a very damaged number 51, and he will just hang on to the apron there. You see that secondary pack. This is a little bit too late, in my opinion, to be a secondary pack. You do not want to be stuck back here if you're Dakota Bly, Isaiah Sutherland, Braxton Skinner. These guys, you need a caution if you're back here. You need a big caution now.
That you do, and you see Sutherland just pushing as much as he possibly can. Back up front, though, we are within 10 laps to go here at Daytona. The Sundance Pizza 250 is getting ready to wrap up shortly, Andrew. And if I'm a betting man, I would place my bets on overtime. Green, white, checkered. We do have an overtime graphic, don't we, too?
We do. If we get there, we'll use it. But right now, big shove to the front.
Ooh.
Johnny Wood Jr. sends Josh Parent to the race lead, but then moves down low, and Johnny Wood Jr. will just nose ahead for the lead. Matthew Selby pulls up behind the 75 car and is going to push that 75 out front, but a big run out the top side. Jamie Plord now going to move that 90 out front.
Look at Rogers. He gave Fritz a huge shove on that bottom line. He got right to the back bumper. Corners right behind him, just trying to stay in contention for this one. Josh Parent has been in solid contention all race long. Johnny Wood Jr. has made his name known as well. Now that top line breaking apart a little bit. You see the bottom really shifted into play. This is off the back bumper, now off the front of Josh Parent. Gavin Rogers saw the hole open up. He jumped up to the top, and here comes Josh Parent pushing another Ford back up to the front.
Gavin Rogers with a good move to get up top of the racetrack and lead that top lane. We're inside of 10 to go. Muddy moves need to be made. Johnny Wood Jr., Scott Fritz, Matthew Selby, the front three on the bottom lane. But here comes Gavin Rogers with a shove from Josh Parent. They're going to move to the race lead.
That's a big old shove. They really got that top line back moving. It looks like everybody's seeing it too. A couple of cars shifting back up to the top. Now Rogers is playing Pied Piper. He jumps back down in front of Johnny Wood Jr. I'm sure Josh Parent's going to be happy about that one, he said sarcastically. The top line now loses a little bit of momentum. That's going to promote a 3-car breakaway single file on the bottom. So Selby the first one clear of the top line. Scott Fritz trying to get clear as well. Josh Parent left to lead that top line. Richard Wolsifer sitting third in line. He's looking around seeing what he can do to make moves. But it's all Gavin Rogers, the part-timer, out front on the bottom line with 7 laps to go at the line.
We've got about 50 to 60 of you guys watching and only about 8 votes in that driver of the day vote. I know there's still 7 laps to go, but get your votes in before time expires. You've only got till the time that we run through race results to get that vote in and make it count. 7 laps to go on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway. Gavin Rogers, Johnny Wood Jr., Matthew Selby, there's a move. Selby moves up top, and he's going to bring Scott Fritz along with. Osmer shoots down low. Here comes Dustin Stallings back into the top 10.
The top line has shifted around completely, Andrew. Guys who were leading are now shuffled in the line a little bit more, and now you've got guys who have been leading trying to get back up to the front. I'm sure Selby wants to see that car back up leading this race. Gavin Rogers is just watching out the mirror at this point, watching to see where the run is forming, where he needs to go, and what he needs to do to keep this car in contention. The Season 1 champ trying to show why he is the champ and keeping that number 17 Sundance Pizza racing machine out in front. Wouldn't it be something to see the Sundance car win the Sundance Pizza 250?
And earlier I said this is the one kind of racing where he can't let his skills shine. Oh, there's going to be a crash. Scott Fritz and Matthew Corder in the middle of the top 10, and Fritz is around, or at least in the wall, and other cars are around. Brendan Maddox for a slide, and this is going to change everything. Caution is out, lap 95 of 100. Oh boy.
Josh Parent in the wall as well. He got a big piece of that. Did Richard Wolsifer make it out of it? I believe he did. I saw him up on the top line.
I saw this starting. Watch Scott Fritz and Matthew Corder, the 48 and the 4. The 48 is going to throw a block, I believe. The 4 is trying to look for a way by. Corder goes high, then goes low, and Fritz blocks it. Corder got his nose there. Oh, and then Jensen hooks the 23.
Maddox.
Slow this down this time. Let's even watch it from the 4 car, his point of view. He's going to go high, gets blocked, so he swerves and goes low, has the run, gets there.
The aggression level is getting up in antsy, Andrew. It's so many laps to go, and I understand the aggression, but that's a bit of a dicey move there.
What I was going to say is you get one move usually in different forms of racing. You get one defensive move. If you can't make it work there, you've got to relinquish that spot, and I think Fritz maybe could use a lesson in that. He threw a second block, and that's kind of what causes this. And I mean that with all due respect. He threw a second move, and there was already a car who was inside, and ends up kind of putting himself in the fence as a result, taking out the 90 as well of Josh Parent and Jamie Plord. Brendan Maddox, of course, goes spinning into the wall with that. But again, with all due respect, I just threw one too many moves and paid the price.
There's just not much you can do there. Be it looking on.
Watching Josh Parent, who was just behind his teammate Matthew Corder. Parent ends up involved in this when they all stack up top. He tried to get by it. Jamie Plord was there. Jensen tried to get down and miss it. He ends up hooking the 23, and that's a ride we got to take.
Yeah, and it looks like Racing Control is actually deeming that a netcode incident between the 88 and the 23. So they are calling that as it is, but gonna get some more clarification on how everything has shaken up.
And there goes Maddox. Boom, outside wall, right at the crossover there on the backstretch. Oh, boy. I hate that. The two Maddox brothers have had such bad luck in season 2, 3, and now 4. They have good runs, and then bad things happen to them, and this is no different. He will be in the pit lane here and take some extensive repairs, and he's not alone. A lot of cars are down here taking repairs. There's Josh Parent. He's sharing a pit box this season with Cody Dorsey. You could just see the 9 car there with him. But Josh Parent's in the pit lane, Cody Dorsey as well. Scott Fritz in the pit lane. Stephen Borbell's down here. Andrew Rattel's in the pit lane. Zachary King. Jason Bottoms. Brendan Maddox, Cameron Gilmore. Even Josh Anderson, some 22 laps down in the pit lane. Many, many laps off the pace. And Zach, this will set us up for what will be a natural overtime restart, a natural green-white checkered, which means this graphic applies. The Lucky Performance overtime rules. These rules will more or less be in effect for this restart, even though this will be within the prescribed number of laps. There will be 2 laps off the restart, a green lap and a white lap, then checkers. If the green lap is completed, the race is official, and the white flag will fly, and then the race will be over. If the green lap is not completed without a caution, we will go to another restart. After all attempts at a green-white checkered finish are used, a caution can end the race. So we can do this up to 3 times, and this attempt will not count towards that because this is within the prescribed number of laps, but it will, in effect, be a green-white checkered, a natural green-white checkered restart. So after this restart, we do have 3 more attempts, and Zach, this can go 50-50. It can go either way. Sometimes they have a really clean first lap and then throw down. Sometimes there's a mishap on that opening lap of the restart, and they go for another restart. They go for another green-white checker. It really could go either way.
Over/under on attempts, I'm putting it at 2. I think we're going to have at least one more attempt. With the aggression level that we've seen so far, I feel like these guys might just be more inclined to go for it on the first lap and then block after the white flag, because they know that if the wreck happens behind them, they're not going to get that caution. Once we see that white flag, this race will end under the checkered. Unless race control throws the caution and says that this race needs to end under the yellow flag, I think what we're just going to see is these guys are either going to go for it and they're going to try to get it that first lap and block the second, or maybe we'll see invitation, wait for that second lap, then go for it when they know there's not going to be a yellow. I don't know. The aggression level is going up.
And let's paint the picture here for this restart. Johnny Wood Jr. is going to lead us to the green. Ronnie Osmer's down low. Neither one has a teammate behind them. You've got Gavin Rogers and Matthew Selby in row 2. Matthew Selby's got a teammate behind him in Dylan Yeager, but then it's Dustin Stallings up top. Then in row number 4, it'll be Patrick Hernandez and Matthew Corder. Really no teammates around them. Then Coulter Clark and Carl Pooler in row number 5. So then you have a teammate behind Carl Pooler in Richard Wolsifer. There aren't many teammates around. We're just going to have to see how this one plays out. We are into a natural green-white checkered and racing once again at Daytona. 2 laps to go. Here we go, back onto the Daytona Super Stretch. Ronnie Osmer in control of the field down the backstretch. He's got Selby pushing, Yeager in behind. The outside lane needs to get moving.
Looks
and there's
like
the block.
Line is going to shift up.
Selby with a run.
Block. Johnny Wood Jr. pushing Matthew Selby out, pass, and clear of Ronnie Osmer. And as we come back around, turn number 4, they're wiggling out of turn number 4, Johnny Wood Jr. to the bottom. It's going to be the white flag in the air presented by Whiplash Simcam. Matthew Selby in control of the field.
One more time around. There goes Johnny Wood Jr. Could that be the winning move? Gavin Rogers is going to push that 75 around the top side of 1 and 2. Stallings is going to push Selby down low. Osmer is third in lane on the bottom. What's going to happen here down the backstretch? We don't know.
Bottom line gets clear, Andrew. They're rolling solid. Stallings is fully clear. He's ready to make the move when he wants to. They're looking at middle of the line at the moment. You see him going into 3. They're a little bit up off of the yellow line.
Gonna take a massive
Bottom line
run.
Shifting back.
It's going to require a
Wood
massive
Jr.
run here on a turn 4.
Selby hits the apron.
Look at Stallings down low. Selby
Big block.
blocks him. Watch Johnny Wood Jr. at the top. Selby gets a shove. They're going to crash across the stripe.
Wide.
I think Stallings got it. I think Stallings won this race.
By 1/100th of a second, it's Dustin Stallings.
Unbelievable.
Matthew Selby threw the block on Stallings, forced him below the double yellow line, got the shove from Gavin Rogers, which shot him back out in front. They tipped each other around, and then by what I think is less than a fender, Dustin Stallings gets the win.
Over Matthew Selby and Gavin Rogers, who were crashing across the stripe. I said it, watch Stallings. He got shoved below the double yellow, and race control may take a look at that. But I think he got forced down there. I think that should be all clear. I do believe we have your first winner of the season on screen, and I do believe it's going to be Maverick Motorsports' own Dustin Stallings, switching from the 0 to the 00 this season. I don't think this is one that's going to come back. I'm pretty sure he's got it.
I think he definitely does, and I'm sure we'll see the Maverick Motorsport bunch celebrating as a whole. There you see Zach Maddox without a right front tire, I'll say. No right front tire on that machine. As, well, Dustin Stallings is going to burn it down here at Daytona. What a way to start off the season, Andrew. It was somewhat of a caution-filled race. We didn't have that many cautions, but they certainly came out in full force when they did. And a 4-wide finish really across the line. What a way to end this race.
Wow. All I can say is wow. Props to the number 00. Props to Maverick Motorsports. And Race Control is currently reviewing that finish, just to be sure. I I got a feeling it's going to stay the way it is. I got a feeling he's got the win, but Race Control being absolutely sure here, just looking it over, reviewing just in case. Some really solid top 10s, though. Selby, second. Rogers, third. Osmer, his first start, he finishes fifth. Barnes and Yeager in their first starts, they finish 8th and 9th. And how about Matthew Corder in 10th spot? As it will be a burnout here from the number 00, the girl dad, Austin Stallings, burning it down here at Daytona International Speedway. A deserved win for sure, even though he only led the final lap of the race. And let's go back, Zach, and let's take a look at the replay. Your own bit of review as well. Jesus is coming to the stripe. Stallings is second there, pushing the 46, and it all just comes loose.
Honestly, I think Stallings earned this one. You see Selby force him below the double yellow with the block, and
Twice.
then gets hit again. See, now that second one, though, Andrew, I'm going to put in Race Control's favor on siding with Stallings, because that one was as a result of a hit from Gavin Rogers. Not to mention, I did a little self-policing there. Stallings did not advance his position below the double yellow. Look at that. He gets forced down. He loses a position, loses another spot. He's above the double yellow when the wreck happens. So I got to say that he is the winner of this race.
It looks like Rev is typing in the Race Control chat. I am a little concerned because when the 00... it's clean. It is clear the 00 is going to win this race. But when he comes back up on the racetrack here, watch this right here. That's what causes this crash and takes the win away from the 46. I was a little concerned for a moment, but all square and fair from Race Control. The 00 will go to victory lane this evening. Dakota Bly crashing there after the stripe. Got a lot to review here on this last lap of racing. Let's go back and take a look one more time. What happens right behind these guys? Coulter Clark, Christian Barnes, I think it happens around them. Patrick Hernandez, I think, was involved as well. Corder goes from 5th to 10th, by the way, from turn 4 to line, and there you go. Driving comes down on the 54 of Clark. That happens there. Clark gets swallowed up. Sutherland trying to get back on the racetrack.
Another 4 wide across the line right there.
Wow.
Oh, man. Oh, and Jensen.
Absolute calamity after the checkers.
Oh my goodness. Well, Andrew, you said that Daytona was a better place to start off the season compared to Atlanta, and well, we're starting off with one heck of a kicker of a race finish, I'll tell you.
One more replay, and then we'll go back to live picture and recap the race results. Selby got the apron, and that might have been a chink in the armor. Oh man. Reliving that from his point of view, he doesn't even know he won the race until probably here when the results actually hit the telemetry box. Wow. Absolutely incredible stuff, and we'll take a look back at the unofficial race results here. Of course, Dustin Stallings with the race win by 10 1,000ths of a second, 1/100th of a second. That's 0.01. Gavin Rogers 0.018 back, and Johnny Wood Jr. 0.061 back. That is very close between those top 4. Ronnie Osmer, the first car, more than a 10th back. He finishes 5th. Patrick Hernandez there in the 6th spot. Props to the 91 flying through the field, as did so many others. Richard Wolfsper hangs on for 7th. Christian Barnes there in 8th. Dylan Yeager 9th. And Matthew Corder grabs his first top 10, I believe, of his career in the BRB Racing League.
Yeah, and I think he's sure happy about that one. Carl Pooler ends up in the 11th spot here tonight, with Dakota Bly coming up right behind him in the 12th spot. Nice to see Dakota Bly get a good finishing position. Isaiah Sutherland ends up 13th. Braxton Skinner in the 14th position, with Eric Jensen coming home in the 15th spot. Coulter Clark right behind him in 16th, and it's Zachary Brandvold 17th. Zach Maddox right behind him in the 18th spot. Jamie Plord ends up 19th, and then Nick Renner ends up 20th position. But that's only about half the cars that were on the racetrack, Andrew.
Not even technically. Finishing 21st, you'll find Cameron Carden in the number 21. That matches the car number. How about Kyle Heath in 22nd? Robert Moyer 23rd, then Cody Dorsey and Sam Dyer, your top 25. Dan Stockera recovered onto the lead lap to finish 26th. Jared Hughes 27th. Derek Dryman ends up 28th. Jason Bottoms 29th, and Stephen Borbell an unfortunate 30th place.
31st goes to Andrew Rattel, and 32nd goes to Josh Perrin after getting involved in that one. I took a look, Andrew, and after he came out of the pit lane after that incident, that wheel was sitting at 11 o'clock, so I wasn't sure how well that was going to go for him. Zach King, after that head-on incident, takes 33rd on the day. Scott Fritz ends up 4 laps down in the 34th position. Brendan Maddox ends up 4 laps down as well in the 35th position. Then we have the cars that did not even see the checkered flag or even see the finish of this race conclude. Cameron Gilmore ends up 23 laps down in the 36th position. Josh Anderson, he was doing so well to get back on the lead lap, Andrew. He was absolutely trying his hardest. Ends up 37th on the day. Dakota Camper 38th. Braden Van Wingerden, I'm still going to keep trying to, I'm going to try to say it like 5 times fast so I can make sure I get that down. He ends up 39th on the day, the number 1 machine, and 40th on the day of Patinko after he was doing so good. And then 2 more cars left, Andrew. You got Gray Walker, who ends up 68 laps down, and Adam Buzzio never even saw the green flag.
1 lap led for Dustin Stallings, and it was enough. Gotta say, though, Johnny Wood Jr., we'll be talking to him. He is today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day, so we'll give him his moment to shine. He finishes 4th this evening. We will not be talking to driver number 75, but props to him. The Stage 2 win and the recovery drive to come through the field. Not even recovery drive, just all-out drive to come through the field. Nearly won this race. He pops up here at a turn 4, nearly wins this thing, but ends up 4th across the stripe as you'll see this finish unfold right before our very eyes one more time. And I actually want to see this in slow-mo. Excuse me. Watch this here to the stripe, Zach, and just how close this ends up being. We'll let it play for a moment and then slow it down again. They're 4 wide, squeeze back together, they crash, and look at how close it is at the stripe. Right there. And we know what? We have a camera for it. Look at that margin of victory.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the yellow line on the start-finish line, that's where the timing line is. That's what these guys are racing to. So it's a little bit shorter, and it can confirm it is straight, too. But you can see just how much ahead by about a bumper, really. From bumper to about the start of the wheel well on the fender. That's just how close it was.
And, you know, Zach, if this were to be realistic, perfectly realistic, the transponder of the 46 crossed before anybody else.
Oh, yes, because the transponder is in the rear of the car.
Yes,
I keep
it is.
forgetting about that one.
The transponder's in the rear of the car. So the transponder of the 46 technically crossed first, but you can see the nose of the 00 crosses the start-finish line ahead of the back end of the 46 car, who finishes in reverse there. Gavin Rogers, just barely. And that is a closer margin there. 8/1000th of a second. He finishes 3rd place to Matthew Selby. Let's bring in today's race winner, Dustin Stallings. Oh boy, what a finish. Girl Dad himself puts it back in victory lane to start season number 4. How in the world did you have that move queued up?
I don't even know, man. I honestly think to choose on the restart there behind Gavin and Johnny, since I knew that they were going to be getting the jump since Johnny was the control car. But as soon as we took the white, and I think it was Johnny and Gavin moved up going into 1, and I just ducked down, got behind Selby, and got to his bumper and just locked up with him. And I told my teammates, I was like, I'm just staying locked to him. And I think coming through 4, I think just the bump kind of unsettled Selby a little bit and got him up the track. And at that point, I had to shoot for the gap. And then, I mean, that coming to the finish, I don't even know, man. That was crazy. I didn't really get a good look on exactly what happened coming to the checkered flag there, but I know Selby come down and we got together and sent me down the track, and then coming through the tri-oval, I think the 17 made contact with Selby and we got out of shape, and then I had my lefts on the apron and rights on the banking and just fighting that, and got together, and I think the 46 got turned in front of 17 and 75 there. But I hate that happened, but overall that finish was crazy. All night I did not think I was going to be in position for this.
And you guys are kind of losing Mason this season. He's going to run a few races, of course, but as a team, you're losing your champion, right? And you're down to your 3 full-time drivers. So what does this mean to you guys as a team, an organization, to go out there and, while the 2 Maddoxes had some bad luck, for you to go out and go to victory lane and put Maverick Motorsports on top?
To be honest, like, it does kind of hurt a little bit that Mason's not going to be on track with us as much. We definitely, like, we cherish him 150, 200%. What, like, we really, really enjoy having him to be a part of this team, even though he won't be here to race with us that much. He's still gonna be kind of taking time with us and kind of giving us kind of little tips here and there if we're struggling in certain areas, and just keeping that connection going. And it's paying off. I mean, last season it kind of started off a little slow, but I think it was like the midpoint of the last season that started clicking, and then just finished strong at the end of the season. And despite I think it was Brendan and Zach, they had some issues just battling with damage and getting caught up in some of these wrecks. I myself got caught up in a couple of them and escaped a couple of them by like a hair. Don't know how I did that, but just keeping the connection, man. I think that's really what's going to keep this momentum going, and just keep thriving and just go from there.
Well, congratulations on this big race win to begin season number 4. Double A in victory lane to begin this new campaign. That's a good way to start things out. Congratulations once again, and hopefully we're talking to you in Texas next week.
I appreciate it, guys. I want to appreciate all the admins in the league, all our sponsors and partners. Without those guys, like, we would not be able to put on these shows. And I love y'all's broadcast, like the best that I've ever seen. I really like going back and watching these races and reliving them. All the teammates with Maverick, I really, really appreciate all those guys. Even our alliance with Spirit Racing, we really enjoy having those guys. We've got some newcomers over there, and kind of taking them under our wing and kind of giving them some advice and stuff. And everybody else that I worked with tonight throughout the field, especially once the teammates kind of got out with the other running there, just had a blast working with some of these guys, and just super, super thrilled. Again, give a shout out to my wife and my 2 daughters. This paint scheme that I'm running tonight, that's going to be my primary for most of the season with Girl Dad. It's a group of girl dads just there to support one another and just give advice and stuff. And also got my daughter's names on the car, on the sides and in the rear bumper there, to have them ride with me this season. But again, had fun. Appreciate everyone, and we'll see you next week in Texas.
Here we go. Dustin Stallings, race winner here at Daytona. An important one to win to kick the season off right. Dustin's able to do it. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, guys.
And on down to second place finisher Matthew Selby. We haven't talked to him a whole lot before, Zach, but this is a good way for him to get the season started. He'll finish second here at Daytona.
Yeah, Matthew Selby, I'm sure, is a little irate about that finish, I'll say. A bumper really short from the start-finish line. You had it, and in terms, not to quote Martin Truex Jr., you had it until about the last 600 feet or so. Walk us through that, man. You almost had that Daytona win.
Yeah, going through 3 and 4 there, I was holding on. I mean, he wasn't lifting. I knew that when I got the lead. I was a set and duck. I tried to hold on for as long as I could. and got shot up to that middle. And when I got shot up to that middle, I luckily got the pass, or I got the push from Gavin, and stayed up there long enough, and it kind of pushed me down into him. And then, for lack of better terms, all hell broke loose. So.
As tends to be the case at Daytona International Speedway, the runs can form in an instant and dissipate just as fast. You know, you had a good car. You were one of the guys that was leading early on in the race. You got caught up a little bit in some of the early stuff. You mounted a comeback and you got back up there. Do you think, that the race could have played out any differently? Do you think maybe you would have been in a better spot if you had been a little bit more conservative early on, or do you think that it kind of just all worked out in your favor there?
I mean, I think it all worked out the best it could, and then it was just a crapshoot, like it tends to be at the end of these races. So I mean, I don't think I necessarily could have done anything more or less. I wished a couple things could have gone my way a little bit better towards the run. I wish we could have had our teammate there supplying the push, and Jaeger those last couple laps, and he was able to get cleared, but before we were able to make the pass in the lead. But that just wasn't the case. So I think if that's the case, we win. But we'll see.
Well, you put on a good show. You managed to bring that car home in somewhat of one piece after the checkered flag, but you're going to be in a solid position points-wise as well walking out of here. So I got to say, when it comes to super speedway racing, it's got to be a win in your book. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Hopefully, we'll see you racing next week at Texas as well. Hopefully, you're looking forward to that one. But congrats again, man. Hopefully, see you next week. Congrats again on your second place finish.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And I'm sure he's got to be a little dejected getting so close to that win. But, I mean, walking out here with a good points day and a second place finish at Daytona, you can't ask for much more.
Meanwhile, third place finisher will be Gavin Rogers. The Sundance Pizza 250 may belong to Dustin Stallings, but Gavin Rogers comes home third place in a part-time season, a part-time start this evening. Gavin, I'll be honest. Earlier in the race, I don't know if you're watching the broadcast while you're racing, I said this is one of the races where you couldn't really let your skills shine, like a road course or a traditional oval, but you let those skills shine anyways. You're up front a little while, controlling part of this race, 2 laps led. You nearly had that win. What would it have taken at a turn 4 to get you to victory lane?
I don't know if there's really much else I could have done. I was kind of stuck having to push Johnny there to get back up to the 2 cars in front of us, and once he moved up top, I didn't really have enough time to kind of follow him. We had a bit of an alliance with the Limitless guys, but we didn't really have enough time to communicate between each other in the session there at the end where I could know that he was going up top, and by the time he did that, I was kind of already on his corner, and I would have had to lift it to get behind him and push him. There would have been enough time to even really get back to his bumper, so I just kind of held it down, tried to find the first gap in front of me, tried to go for it. It all really closed up. There wasn't really any gaps to really go for, just kind of hope something was going to work out. But either way, I'll take a top 3 for sure. I definitely felt like it could have gone a lot worse than that tonight. I didn't have the greatest race to start off with for sure. I was kind of just stuck mid-pack. We were thinking about dropping to the back, and then we kind of did a little bit, and then once it got to I think the end of the first stage or some point in the second stage, I asked Steven, I'm like, hey, I think we just should go for it. And as soon as we tried to go for it, I think the next lap, a couple guys in front of us wrecked, and we all got some damage that held us back. But fortunately, most of us were able to get back up. I don't know where Steven finished yet. I think he said 30th, so really unfortunate for him. But at least I could have pulled the top 3 for the team. At least we had something go right for the team.
Yeah, I'm sure you trade results with any of your teammates, given how their races ended. But, let's focus on what's next for Car 17 and your season. Of course, you're a part-timer, just like Mason, which is a little bit strange for him, kind of more par for the course for you the last couple of seasons. But when do we see you back on track with these guys? When do we see you back in one of these races?
It's a great question. I haven't really had a chance to really look at the schedule, what I want to do next. I was been so focused on getting ready for Daytona, mainly just my paint, to be honest. I want to get a pretty car for the Sundance Pizza 250. I think we had a nice car tonight. It would have looked better if we had a checkered flag with it, but man, I'm not sure. Hopefully we can get something up here soon. Iowa would be a good one. If not, I'm definitely gonna try to make Coda. Just any of the technical tracks. I want to be at, see if I could pull off something pretty cool there. But the primary focus is just to help the team out and get some good points. We had some great momentum ending the season. Well, last season just didn't have enough points to start off to make any run at the championship. So that's what we're going to focus on this year, or this season, I guess, and try to make a good run at the championship with a good old next level.
Well, it's good to talk to you, Gavin. Congratulations on P3, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate you guys.
Evan Rogers and the Sundance Ford Mustang Dark Horse will finish third in the Sundance Pizza 250. What a race it was as well, Zach, and a great way to kick this season off. We look forward to what's next. Texas coming up for these guys. That is going to be a wild one. Texas Motor Speedway, the old version of Texas, high banks and everything, going to be a wild race. It is a hoot in this next-gen car. It is very difficult, very technical. As far as a mile and a half goes in this car, and it's going to be exciting to watch for sure. Then Iowa, Michigan, so on and so forth through this month of May. Some really good racetracks coming up, and you can catch all these broadcasts and more here on Pit Stop TV. Of course, North American Racing League coming up this Thursday, right back here at Daytona International Speedway. Then Texas and Iowa coming up for BRB Buttkicker Cup Series. Some really great racing coming up, Zach.
Absolutely. There's so much great racing coming up here on Pit Stop TV. There's always great racing on Pit Stop TV, and you can follow it all on pitstoptv.com, facebook.com/pitstoptv. Oh, excuse me. Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, TikTok.com/pitstoptv1, Twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, YouTube.com/pitstoptv1, and X.com/pitstoptv_. And Andrew, if this was a precursor for the season moving forward, then I think we're in for a show over these next few races. I know you and I will be here for about 3 more races before we bring in our other team to help cover out the mid-season, while you and I are preoccupied at the Cookout Summer Shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But I am still going to keep following along with all the great racing that's going on here.
A lot of good races coming up here on Pit Stop TV and for the BRB Racing League. And I'm going to give a big thank you once again to the Buttkicker, Ascendance Trucks, Ideally, Sundance Pizza, and Performance Food Group, and a nod as well to Maddox Graphics and all the partners, as well as Rev Sim Shop with this BRB Racing League. So many groups make this event and this league possible every Tuesday. And again, just one big thank you to all of them. And big thank you to those who make it happen for us here at Pit Stop TV. Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League helping us out here on the channel, making these broadcasts possible every week, sometimes multiple times during the week. And we appreciate everybody who makes these broadcasts happen. We also, of course, want to take a look at... well, hang on, my brain just completely lost my train of thought. It's left the station, Zach. Well, here we go. That's what I was going to do. Thank you for being here, Zach. To run this graphic with our faces on it, our ugly mugs. But once again, thanks for being here, Zach, and kicking the season off right. It was a pleasure having you along for the ride, and I'm looking forward to the rest of season number 4. For now, though, thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time here on Pit Stop TV.